would like to apologize for not waking up.
It's fine. Me and Grim have already done like an amazing 1 hour of podcast.
Did you record it?
No.
Okay.
I could have done, should have done.
Yeah. Well, yes, I apologize for oversleeping. We were starting an hour late. More than an hour late. God damn. This will be the 13th episode. Oh, the lucky number 13.
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13th episode of the ESOU podcast featuring special guest Grimsforge Gaming. You guys may know him from the Tree Scavers podcast on YouTube. And you may also recognize him from, I think, the biggest one he's done recently in terms of the podcast is with LTS Gaming. Right? Yeah. And
biggest one until now, of course. This is gonna blow up.
Oh yeah. And Grimsforge, well, I'll let you introduce yourself, I guess. Yeah.
How's it going? Yeah, so I have Grimsforge Gaming on YouTube, and I do thematic builds and train PvPers, and I'll meet with them in Discord, and we'll just kind of go through how they're getting deaths in PvP and trying to start eliminating those deaths, and fix their win-to-loss ratio and help them become better PvPers.
So like, do they have to?
What was that again? Sorry.
How well, I'm like trying to formulate this question in my mind. How did they reach out to you? Like in the game or during the YouTube channel or?
For Deltia? No. So we're doing the podcast.
Oh no. I meant like the players.
Yeah. They'll contact me through YouTube, and then I'll direct them to Discord. And then through Discord, if they're on PC, it's easier process. They'll actually do a screen share, and I'll live coach them while they're doing their battlegrounds. And so we know concepts for PvP is going to be eliminating deaths are super important. Obviously, the less you die, the better. But the less you die, the more time you're spending on the battlefield, which increases your time on target. And so you'll notice the less I die, the more kills I could potentially get, and you'll see a drastic change in your win-to-loss ratios in battlegrounds. And so then we kind of isolated to three major problems of why people are dying. They're out of position, they're outnumbered, or they're out of resources. And so we break down each one of those and start eliminating those, and then they stay alive longer, and then they end up killing more people, and then they end up having more fun ultimately. But yeah, so through YouTube and then kind of word of mouth, people are like, hey, I know a guy that trains PvPers, and he's not a jerk, that's kind of a
people hate on PvPers for being toxic, but
yeah,
not all of them are. I mean, some of them are hyper competitive for sure, but
yeah. I like training new PvPers. I think one of the most important things is directing people to low BBGs. We were talking about this earlier. Proc sets are additional damage and additional healing depending on the proc set that's above and beyond what a class or a player is normally capable of. And you see less proc sets in low BBGs, and skill set is kind of equalized or better in low BBGs. It's more forgiving, and so it gives them an opportunity to. Most players new to PvP can't even last through a player trying to damage them through class abilities or weapon abilities, let alone the additional pressure from proc sets. And so low BBGs are the best place to kind of learn that without that extra pressure. And they're still learning their rotation. They don't know where to be, where not to be as well. You can create 1v1s and figure out how to combat each individual class. We know that every class has a meta rotation for the most part that lines up bursts real nicely to execute or finish people. And as a new player, once you start learning not only your own class's capabilities and your own play style and your own armor sets and what works for you, you start learning what everyone else is trying to do to kill you as a class. Then it gets easier. The game gets easier, but it's a maturation process. And the wild card is the proc sets. You throw proc sets into the mix, and now all of a sudden all that extra pressure coming from various classes, and it makes it hard for them. The learning curve is a little steeper with it. And so for me, with newer players, we always try and get them out of proc sets, learn the actual sweet art of PvP, how to line of sight, how to stretch out. And what I mean by stretch out, we were talking about this earlier. There's a lot of people that are always on EU. He was just saying earlier that in zone chat, people are like, this person's cheating, this person's cheating, and it's all over the place. It's rampant. But the reality of it is, let's take a 1vx scenario where it's you versus 10 people, and you know how to line of sight, maintain your buffs, line up your bursts and everything, and you just start kiting around a big rock. And out of the 10 people, 4 of them have a movement speed enhancement. Maybe they're running Wild Hunt or Major Expedition, and the 4 are able to keep up with you in the kiting process, and you turn around, hit a heavy attack with the 2-hander, get the follow-up passive into a Dawnbreaker execute, and you kill 4 people. And those 4 people are probably medium armor wearers, dodge roll, Major Expedition, they have less resistances, and you just hit them with a 7k weapon damage with 20k pin, whatever. They just get blown up, and of course you immediately have to be a cheater. And it's their lack of understanding, like the skill gap. And we were talking about this earlier, that a good example is, we were talking about trials, and I said, man, I see people putting builds out there in PvE that have 120k DPS.
It's crazy.
120k DPS, and then I said, so we got 0 and 120k DPS, and then I said, what do you guys think the average player, like if you went to Craglorn and put a pug group together, what do you think you're going to see DPS wise?
I think it's about like 60k. Like
60k,
we were talking last week about like the sort of social guilds, sort of they want about 60k to be able to do trials comfortably. But then again, like that's like just still like the top level of player that can even do trials.
Right. And 120k, 0, 40k isn't even halfway there. It's not even halfway, right? And that's a huge skill gap, a huge level of disparity and understanding. That same disparity in PvE exists in PvP. And so if you're a PvEer and you come to PvP and you don't know how to line up your bursts, maintain your buffs and line of sight, and where to be, where not to be, how to fight all the different classes, you know, like I don't have problems fighting sorcerers if I'm on a Templar, because we cleanse their Haunting Curse and their Endless Fury. So half their burst is gone.
How do you keep up with them? Templars are so fat and slow.
I always run gap closers so they can try and run. I just maintain pressure on them. Dot pressure will keep working through their shields, and then I just gap close to them over and over again until they run themselves out of magicka, and then they're trying to dark deal in front, or not dark deal, but dark bargain in front of you to get magicka back, and you're like,
Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off.
Yes, that right there. So, yeah, but that same disparity happens in PvP, and so they can't comprehend that. They can't wrap their head around it, and therefore they have to be cheating. So, and it's not that there are not cheaters out there, but I would say if you ran into 100 people, if I got killed by 100 people in Zerodead today, only one of them might actually.
I would say possibly not even.
Whoa!
Not even that.
What do you mean by cheater? Like cheating? How do you define that?
They're running some type of something.
Like a third-party software?
Yeah. They're running. So we'll run into people that you could have the drop on them. They don't even see you, and they're fighting someone. And every single time you try and range attack them, they dodge roll. And you know, there's people that literally don't take damage, but then have one-shot capabilities. And ESO is you have to give a little bit to like, it's very hard to have absolutely insane damage and not take damage. Like, I have cap resistances on characters, and I still take damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why is this guy not taking any damage, you know? And so that's weird. Even if he had like 10k health recovery or whatever, I should still see a spike and then it bounces back up, or, you know, like their recovery. And that's the other thing too, you get these trained eyes where you see them maintaining their buffs, or there's his vigor, or there's his rally for the burst heal, and then you're seeing stuff and you're like, they're not even maintaining their buffs. Where's their vigor at? Like, how's this even a thing? And so you'll see that from time to time, super rare, but I don't think like back in the day you're going to see people hovering in the sky dropping endless Do you remember that video?
Which one?
Remember? There's a video on YouTube of some dude like Zod from Superman just floating in the air, just like meteor.
Is that the one in Loraden where they have the missiles, the AG missiles?
Yeah.
Alywels, you know about this?
I don't think I've seen this. No, I've seen someone walking around Loraden as a dragon.
No, you can find it on YouTube. You can YouTube like Loraden cheater. No, so what they did was they replicated the assembly general missiles from VHOF. So they would shoot out the missiles, around the wasteland and kill players without dueling or anything.
That's what the heck.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, there's a video out in Zerodead. This was 6 years ago or so.
Are you talking about Zazir?
Yes.
Oh god.
And he's just hovering in the air like the second coming, right? And just meteor. And so people started recording. Yeah.
Cheat engine. That was cheat engine.
Yeah. That was cheat engine.
And that's when they decided, hey, we gotta move everything to server side. Or they started to.
Yeah.
Cheat engine.
Well, I mean, cheaters exist in games, and you're never going to get rid of every single one. But they're certainly not as prevalent as Zone Chat seems to think.
Yeah, but nowadays it's like really hard to get away with.
Yeah, it's more so scripting, right? It's more so scripting and
people saying like macros.
Yeah, macros and stuff like that. Like yesterday, so I have a cap resistance Captain America, Steve Rogers, cap resistance. I'm fully buffed, and I get hit with 5 14k lacerate or eviscerates from stealth. 5. So I'm just standing there, and then I'm dead, and I'm like, and I look at the death recap, and it's like 14k, 11k, 4, and I'm like, what the heck? And so I told her, they're like, dang, what happened to you? Because Steve Rogers has cap resistances. He's super tanky, and 5,500 weapon damage, and it was just crazy. And I was like, dude, I didn't even see any of that. I literally just died. And so a little bit later, there's 3 of us running around, and my buddy Rotten, same thing happened to him. He's like, what the heck? He's like, I literally saw a swipe, and then I was dead. And so I don't know what's going on with that, but
yeah, I mean, is it possible they could have had that, like, if they're a vampire using that, they could have had that simmering frenzy to that, possibly, but yeah. I don't know.
So one swipe and it was 4 abilities with that swipe?
I don't know. It's that I didn't even see anything. He said he at least saw 1 swipe, and but to get hit by 4 or 5 abilities for 11 to 14k a piece, there's something there. I don't know what. I can't explain it. So.
I guess we also have to take into account lag as well. Like, abilities are going to work pretty uniformly in PvE, but as soon as you go into PvP, it's going to be, abilities will be catching up with each other as well. Like, I know people that have been like sniped. Oh, I got hit by 3 snipes in a row. It's like, well, the server's still catching up and stuff. It's not necessarily that they're cheating. It's just.
It's also animations too, like macro slicing is what it's called.
For sure.
For those who don't know, macro slicing is like when you cast things and then they all like speed up really fast and then they all hit at the same time. That right there. So you run into some weird things like that, and it kind of makes you go, like, I don't know,
And I'm running around on cap resistance character, and so when I run into somebody, and what damage you're capable of, and then when you run into somebody that just takes 0 damage, and then they just turn around and heavy attack Dawnbreaker you, and you get hit for 23k, and you're like, you know, that's interesting, but it doesn't happen very often. So, I don't know.
How often would you say, like, out of 100 people, a cheater?
Out of 100?
Yeah. Rough estimate.
One if
One?
that.
Wow.
Yeah. Everybody else.
Maybe.
Everybody else is like, if you're getting killed by people, it's usually just a high skill set and a good understanding, or it comes down to performance issues. You know, like I've been line of sighting and I get executed while they're on the other side of the rock. You know, but it comes down to, on my screen, I'm actually on this side of the rock, but on their screen, I'm actually right in front of them, where they're just execute, you know, and there's that. It's for that reason, at one time, I would take this game real seriously and wanted to be competitive and wanted to be, and I don't want to take that joy from new people that want to learn the PvP in the game. They'll come to their own conclusions when they get to that point where they start noticing those things. I'm holding block right now and I'm taking 100% damage. You know, block is not working properly, or, you know, but it's not up to me to ruin that journey for them. So there's a little bit of that.
Full Zerodead experience, teabagging and everything.
Yeah. I saw Sawman UK got banned for teabagging. I don't bag. I will have people bag me, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go find them. I have to return something, you know, and then I'm on a mission. But
as long as they start it, I like winding up people that get triggered by you doing nothing. That's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah. But your video on toxic. The toxicity in the game is so true. I literally had a guy tell me that he was going to crash a plane on my head.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I had another guy say he was going to kill my daughters.
What?
Yeah,
I mean, that's like,
I reported these
police.
people.
Yeah.
I've reported these people, and they're still in the game. So,
okay,
Bruh.
You know, yeah, I see them running around. I literally took a screenshot and reported it, and they're still in the game. And so I make sure I kill them every time I see them. You know, like, still here. You know?
Are they?
Yeah. So
who are these people? What the fuck?
Isn't there like a thing, like if they say they're going to do it, then it means they're not, or something? It means that's how they're venting their frustration rather than actually doing it.
Yeah.
So the more death threats, the safer you are.
Yeah, you should see. Northold was a PvP guild, and Northold had a in Discord they had a thing called like the Vault of Salt, and they had some of the most raunchiest, like what are these people? They're seriously some twisted people out there. Like some of the stuff they said. Yeah,
or they're just trying to like be edgy or like shock you. Like I feel like, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of people that come around with that kind of thing, like when they, you know, people are like, oh my god, he's racist or whatever. I'm like, they're not racist. I don't know. It's just like they're trying to shock you. Yeah. I don't know. They're just trying to like jar
push
you.
Your buttons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get a reaction.
I don't try and get involved in any of that. I know some of my friends, they like to go offline mode. I just stay online mode. I like meeting new people, and I'll run down to Imperial City, and we were talking about this earlier. This is how I meet a lot of people. If somebody's running around solo and I can see that they're struggling against even the NPCs or whatever, I'll be like, hey, can I run with you? You know, and I'm nobody, but they don't know who I am, and then a PvPer runs up and I kill the PvPer, and they're like, that was awesome. Or I had two new people to PvP who were struggling against NPCs, and we made our way all the way to mid, and there was a 10-man group, and I was like, I'm just gonna go fight these guys. And so I went in and killed them, and they were like, dude, that was freaking insane. And I'm like,
you're a cheater, you're a hacker.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I got that a couple days ago. I was running with another thing I do is I keep a couple guild slots open, and in zone chat when people are like, hey, we're a new PvP guild, I'll just be like, hey, I'm looking for a PvP guild, you know, returning player. I'll be a little rusty, and then I just jump in with them and offer advice where I can, when I can, and just kind of run around with them and don't really tell them anything, you know. They'll run with me and they're just like, hey, you're good at PvP. And I'm like, yeah, if you ever need help, let me know. And then eventually they're like, you know, as we start training, I tell them about the channel and I'll send them videos like as homework, you know, like what level of PvP are you, you know, and so we kind of have this standard. So that way when we're communicating, we know, and then they can assess who they're fighting against too. Like that was a level 2 or level 3 PvPer. Like they were really good at maintaining their buffs. They were very good at maintaining CC control over me, both hard CCs and soft CCs. And it was a resource fight and it was really hard to turn the corner on them. And so that way we can start having dialogue, you know, about PvP.
Man, we have so much to talk about, actually. Where I like listen to you. So
you making notes?
Well, I mean, yeah, mental notes. I guess there's like two pathways I'm gonna go on at this point. But let's go back to teaching people. So it sounds like you have teaching experience. You know, from the sound of it, and from our earlier conversations too.
Yeah. So
like, do you teach at a gym? You mentioned the gym.
Yeah, I train and manage professional fighters. They've fought in Bellator, fought in the UFC.
Really?
We have a bare knuckle boxing champion, and yeah, so I travel all over. Pre-COVID, I traveled over the Midwest, and I would do gym rescues for gym owners. We teach them how to establish multiple revenue streams, how to grow and scale their business, and then we teach the same thing with the fighters: how to get sponsors, how to get endorsements, how to grow and scale, and how important social media is. Literally, that was the only reason I started my YouTube channel. Was I knew how important YouTube was for fighters. That's the future, was social media. And I didn't want to go and preach to gym owners and fighters about growing and scaling a YouTube channel without actually living it myself. So I, you know, and I'm an old dude. I'm 44 years old, you know, I'm not trying to be the next ninja or whatever, but I was running around in ESO and, you know, it kept coming up. They're like, dude, you just killed 30 people. You just killed 40 people. Like, you need to be recording this. And I'm like, nah, I'm not trying to do that. And then I thought, you know what, if I'm going to create a channel, it's like COVID hit, gyms are shut down. Now's my time. I'm gonna create a channel and we're gonna figure out how to grow and scale it. But and it's through that process met you, met Deltia, met Dots Gaming, met, you know, bro, we got this, and just a bunch of really cool content creators that are all on this awesome journey. But training PvPers was very simple, or we were talking about this earlier, very similar to training real life combat. If I were to tell you guys you needed to drive to a gym right now and you were going to be sparring, you were going to be doing jiu-jitsu, wrestling, MMA, kickboxing, whatever it was, just the drive there, you're building this up in your mind, what this is going to be like. And like, some people are dreading it. They're like, dude, I don't even, like, I'm not looking forward to this, you know? And then they get there and it goes down sideways. Like, it doesn't go down the way that they even wanted, and it was just a terrible experience. PvP is very similar for that in ESO. I don't want to do battlegrounds. I don't want to do whatever. It's just a bunch of toxic people. And it's their lack of understanding on what's happening, like in PvP, where to be, where not to be, how to fight outnumbered, how to maintain your buffs, how to line up your burst, and what all the different classes, typical rotations are going to be to try and kill you, and how you combat those. And so once we go through this whole lesson or whatever, well, it's the same thing in the gym industry. I'm teaching all the positions. Here's side control, here's mount, here's guard, here's north-south. Here's all your offensive playbook. Here's all the things you can do from side control to this person. Here's all the ways that they either defend or escape those submissions. And so we just established these offensive and defensive playbooks in the gym, and offensive and defensive playbooks in in PvP and ESO, and it's interesting. And think about the first time you had that PvP experience where somebody jumped on you and they were trying to kill you, and you get fat fingers. You're like, they're killing me, right? It happens to everybody. Like, well, after a while, you can kind of deaden that sensation, and you perform better under pressure. And the best way I like to hone that is through sparring in the gym, but not true sparring. Not like we're going to be trying to knock each other out or submit each other or choke each other out, but let's like playful sparring. Let's try new things. Let's see what we're good at and what we're not good at. And so in the same thing in ESO for PvP, dueling is a great way. One of the most underrated skills that you can learn in PvP and ESO is how to bounce back in a fight, or how to turn the fight. Momentum, just like in real fighting, one punch leads to two lead to three. Next thing you know, you're looking up and you're like, what happened? Well, ESO can go down the same way. When somebody jumps on you, they put their rotation into you. And if you survive it, now you're on your back bar trying to recover from it. And then you just find yourself on your back bar the entire time. And I never actually turned the fight. And it's just a long, painful death. And so turning the fight is one of the most important things. And so when you're dueling, it's always best to burst them with not the intent, the bend, but don't break. Burst them, but don't kill them. Give them an opportunity to fight back or recover from the burst and then go offensively back into you. And that's huge. Just that right there. Recover, turn the fight, go offensive. And so we focus on that to really help PvPers. It helps a lot.
How many on average do you teach?
Maybe once or twice a week. So it's a lot less since I haven't been focused on the YouTube channel and the growth and stuff. Yeah, we just opened our gym in St. Louis, and we have a second location we're working on in Georgia. That we're opening. We're franchising out our gym business model and everything. So
it's pretty cool. What's the gym called? So I can go.
Integrity.
Integrity.
Wow,
wait. Integrity.
Integrity. So, that is something that Nefes lacks, definitely. So it's
reminds me of the South Park
and
episodes.
Pants.
You know what I mean? Do you guys watch South Park?
I haven't watched it in a long time.
God, you should watch the ones with Integrity Farms, because that reminds me of that.
Okay.
So he makes a business called Integrity. So that just reminded me of that. Integrity.
Oh no.
I'm gonna have to change the name.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. We were talking earlier. We was talking about Kimbo Slice. I had 3 guys on a card for Bellator, and one of our fights is called a dark fight. And the dark fight is the fight that is happening just before the event goes live. So all the prelims and the undercard fights will happen offline or off air, right? And so the live audience gets to watch those, and only the highlights from those fights will end up making it into ESPN or whatever, right?
Right.
And so literally a guy will come out and he'll say, "Ladies and gentlemen, we are live," and the crowd goes crazy, whatever. And so our dark fight is, we could be the very first fight that is live, right? We could be that, or we could be the very last fight before they go live. And so it's kind of stressful for the athlete, because they're like, I might be fighting on television here, or I might be not, unless I get a highlight something. Excuse me. And so he's a swing fight, and imagine a Coliseum, like imagine Gladiator, and you can hear 10, 20,000 people above you, and the rumble and the cheer and the excitement when people are getting knocked out and fights are, getting exciting. And it literally sounds like that when you're in the bowels of the building. And they do a thing that is, hey, you're up next, you're on deck, you're in the hole, and they let the fighters know, so that way you know when to start warming up. And then they progress you through this advancement towards the cage from the bowels of the building, the locker rooms, depending on where you're at. And so we get all the way to the final stage where we can see the cage. You know, we've warmed up. He's ready to go. He's in this mental mind state. He's going to destroy whoever. And the guy comes up and he goes, "Hey, your fight's been swung. You're now after the main event." And so the main event was Kimbo Slice versus Shamrock for that particular event. And he was so pissed, you know, the fighter was super mad. He was like, "Dude, I'm warmed up, I'm ready to go. I'm looking at the cage and they're telling me I don't fight until after the main event." So what that means is the live event goes live, right? And then everyone starts leaving because they saw the main event, and then he goes out there and he fights, right? As people are leaving the building, you know? And so anyways, we go out there, and this is the only good thing that came out of it. But you know, the fight banners that you throw over the side that has all the sponsors on it and endorsements and stuff. So we go out there, and our corner, we're in the same side corner that Kimbo in the fight before us was. And so we throw our banner over, we pull the banner back. Our guy's pissed, but he's going to handle work. He wins the fight. But anyways, I go down to where the cornermen are, and Kimbo's fight banner is still there. He forgot his fight banner. And so I like roll his fight banner up into my banner. And I kept thinking, man, I could just see Kimbo roll up like, "Hey,
yeah, he's gonna ignore you, man.
Yeah, you got my banner, you know." And I was like, you know what, this will be a good opportunity for me to meet Kimbo Slice. And so after the fight happened, they don't put the main event guys or co-main event in some cases in the same locker room as everyone else, right? They get their very own, they get very good treatment. And not that everyone else doesn't, but they get their own thing. And so I immediately hightail it to Kimbo's locker room because I'm like, this is going to be a chance for me to meet Kimbo Slice, you know, and, you know, look like the good guy, integrity, right? You know, do what's right, you know, even when nobody's looking. And they had cleared out. So now that fight banner's up on our wall at the gym.
That's for you.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah.
R.I.P.
But yeah, going back to the whole skill gap thing, because you brought it up quite a lot. Dots made a video on, I forget what exactly the video was about, but I watched the video, and in it, he was talking about how the problem in ESO Pvp is that there's, well, as with everything, there's like a food chain or something, and the reason why so many people don't want to get into PvP is because there's such a huge skill gap, but at the same time, there's nothing in the middle. You've got, like, at the top, the apex predators, the players who are still somehow sticking around after all these years. And then you got people trying to get into PvP, but there's, like, all the middle is gone. Like, there's no easy transition. That you go into Cyrodiil, you get whacked immediately. There's no opportunity for you to fight back. There's no opportunity for you to learn. So you don't learn. So you dip out because you're discouraged. Do you think he's like right about that? That there's no mid progression? Because for PvE, it's structured in a way where there has to be something in the middle. But PvP is such an open-ended thing. There's no normal difficulty. When you go to Zerodead, there's no veteran, there's no hard mode, there's no option to turn on hard mode. So, do you think it's missing that?
Yeah, to a degree. So, here's what I run into, and this is talking to the people that seek me out for PvP training. Okay, this is straight from them. This is,
okay.
They've PvP'd for 4 or 5 years, and every time they get in a 1v1, they die. And they don't feel like they're getting any better.
And they put up with that for 4 or 5 years. Man, they're crazy.
Yeah. And it's frustrating for them, but they so desperately want to be good at PvP, but there's a lack of coaching or a lack of guidance in regard to that, and there's mixed messages as well. There's not like one voice, one methodology or coaching process to it. Like there's everybody kind of slinging their own perspective of it. So there is a little bit of that. But I can tell you this. proc sets are problematic in the development of PvPers, and I think proc sets are while proc sets bring uniqueness and fun to PvP, they also get rid of the mid-level tier. You're either a beginning PvPer or you're a beginning PvPer with proc sets that has nuclear capabilities. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the problem. I think if they rewound, I would be completely fine with 100% skill-based PvP. A lot of people would not, because they think it would be boring or stale. But I'm fine with skill-based PvP from a perspective of I know that the elite level guys, I'm going to throw myself in there even though I'm not really there, but elite level guys want to see skill-based PvP, right? They only throw procs on when they get them to the point where they get mad. Earlier we were talking about if you walked into a room of a bunch of 10-year-olds, as an adult, like Nephis, if you went into a room full of 10-year-olds, could you kick the crap out of them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Nephis is be wrecked.
That's my daily warm-up.
I'm not as daily. Let's go.
Now, yeah, Nephis likes his chances. Now let's give them all a pistol. Do you like your chances?
Yeah.
Okay, what about like a knife? Nunchucks.
A knife. A bunch of 10-year-olds with a knife. So that's the thing, right? Is we have a lower understanding or a lower skill set player, but as soon as we give them nuclear capabilities, it hurts their learning curve. They don't need to learn how to line of sight. They don't need to learn how to maintain their buffs. It's literally first to the punch. And that's not a riveting PvP gameplay,
that doesn't feel fair, really.
Yeah, it feels dirty, like you were talking about the honor of
for sure.
an official fight or duel or whatever. And so I run into this all the time. They want to be better at PvP. They'll jump on YouTube and they'll figure out a build. And most of your content creators are advanced skill set guys, and they get tired of putting themselves at a disadvantage going against outnumbered odds. And so then they are able to maintain the resources on a high weapon, like they can run 2 damage sets paired together, when if you asked a new PvPer to wear 2 damage sets, their damage will be high, but they don't know how to sustain on that build because it's less max stats, less recoveries. And so they're denying themselves the maturation process of learning how to PvP by jumping into these setups that they should not be in just yet. And they're relegating themselves to, I'm first to the punch or I die. Right. And so there is that. So what I do is I tell them, let's rewind, go back. I've leveled 140 characters over. I level them to I level them to CP. I put a build together. I go into Battlegrounds. I level them all in PvP too, all in Imperial City or all in Battlegrounds. And because I want to know every different play style of every different class and wins the curve. If you at level 20 you get this ability and it's a game changer for you at this, and bows, I can tell you right now, bows, unless you're a Nightblade, do not feel competitive. I have to work twice as hard with a bow on every class to put people away as opposed to just a two-hander. It's so much easier to put people away with a two-hander. And you would think, well, with a bow, protecting your range, keeping distance, you can put damage into them. Bows are not in a good place right now. And maybe it's lack of pen. I'm not sure. But I wouldn't know that had I not played around with all these different classes and all these different weird play styles, thematic builds and stuff to do it. Trying to play outside the box. I could play meta. It's just not fun for me. I want a challenge. And so low BBGs are the best place to learn this because proc sets are not involved in low BBGs. And so that extra pressure, they don't experience that. And the skill set is different too. Like they're going up against other people that can't maintain their buffs or that they don't understand their burst to line it up properly, or they don't know how all the other classes are going to be trying to kill them, right? Like the most common rotation. And so there's a little bit more of an even playing ground, except for the demigods that come down and they're running like they're using their transmute crystals to put together the broken stuff just so they can, murk people.
Yeah, I've definitely seen people complaining about that on the forums and stuff. It's like,
why do people do that? That makes no sense to me. You just, I mean, cheating this game also makes no sense to me. Like, why do you think people do all that? You know,
ego thing, I guess. I mean, it feels good to kill people.
Yeah.
But okay, well, in one case you're cheating. You're not really killing them because you're skilled.
Yeah.
And in another case, you're just bowling like low levels.
Yeah. So I ran into somebody, and I would imagine it has to be a script. I don't know, but the second you went into their hitbox, you wouldn't see any animations, but it was just ting 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 ting, and your life just goes ba 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 ba, and then you look at your death recap, and it's like light attacks and I forgot. It was like light attacks and one other ability, and and you saw no animations, but it was. And so I tested it. I went and found them every time in Imperial City, and I like just would inch into their like hit box, and it's like I'm like, what's going on here? Yeah. So, but I'd never seen that
for their
person.
build. See how much. I met a guy in IC the other day. He was. I was farming bosses, and he just came up to the boss and started bashing it, like doing nothing else but bashing it, and his health was going down loads. I was like, "What the? That guy's clearly cheating."
That's Fragman. That's Fragman's all.
Yeah, and I messaged him like, "What the hell is this build?" And he showed me the build, and I mean, it kind of made total sense. So, I mean, that was just down to my own like lack of knowledge, really. I think not enough people test whether that is actually possible, I guess. I mean, it's too easy to say they're cheating. I mean, in this case, probably someone might have been cheating, but
think about that offense too. So to bash you're holding block and then initiating a bash. Does the block sigil drop while the bash is initiating?
Yeah. So this is what I asked him as well, and he said he had bash bound on his mouse wheel.
Yeah,
and he had bash on mouse wheel up and light attack on mouse wheel down. So what he was literally just going like that on his mouse.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's crazy.
Yeah. So
all these techniques that you've never people don't hear about.
Think about fighting that person. Okay, so they get the block damage mitigation. They get the block mitigation while you're fighting them, so they're virtually taking no damage, and you see your health just disappearing, and you're like, that's a cheater. and then you see the build and you're like, huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of that out there. But low BBGs are the best way to go. For me, I get a lot of slack for this because I have a lot of low B teasers and where I put a thematic build and I'm like, I'm gonna run something off meta, a different play style, and I'm gonna level them. Like when I made Steve Rogers, I didn't want to just name change a Templar. I wanted to live the process of what's a sword and how does sword and board work? How can you be competitive and kill people, put people away, sword and board? And I was like, I can't expect myself to be successful in CPBGs just jumping into it and trying. I'm setting myself up for failure. So let's go through the full maturation process through leveling it and figure out what abilities work, what doesn't work, and what's needed to apply more pressure or recover. Like if you think about sword and board, you're not running a two-hander, so you're going to lose minor endurance from not having rally, and you're going to lose major brutality from not having rally. Right. And so I need access to that in another way. And so the theory crafting and the thematic, like let's make Steve Rogers, he's holding his shield and he's got Mjolnir, but it's not a real PvP build if I can't put people away and recover in fights. And so that's what's interesting to me. So I recorded some teasers of Steve Rogers is on the way. Here's I did a low BBG and went 30-0 or whatever, or 30-2, You know, and I put it to some music. It's more entertainment value. And I'll get people that'll come into the messages and they're like, "Congratulations, you know, you're such a bully." And I'm like, I get it, but why don't you go out there and try sword and board, and let me know how it goes, you know?
I mean, did you have like the Regarda shield or whatever with the red, white, and blue on it? I think.
Yeah. You should actually jump into the YouTube channel and look. Like I have Thanos that looks like Thanos, Hulk that looks like Incredible Hulk. You need to check it out. Like I have Deadpool that looks like Deadpool.
Yeah.
Like
there's a guy on EU. In his character, he's like a male wood elf, vampire. So he's like completely sort of like pale. He's got the Nord bathing outfit on, and he looks exactly like Gollum, and his name is Gollum, and he literally just sits on the bridge, like sniping people off the bridge, and it's hilarious, like the amount of hate whispers and stuff he gets. It's brilliant. Yeah, I love. I guess it's cosplaying, really. I don't know.
Yeah, and in that regard, not only should you cosplay it, but thematically, if you're gonna be these characters, what weapons would they use? What abilities? What class would they be? And now all of a sudden you find yourself not using the meta rotation to try and kill people. You're using this off-meta play style. And so it's kind of interesting to watch that. And so that's what it was for me. Like, let's try and make this character for real as best we can with our limitations. And then let's see if we could actually PvP with it, you know? And, so
it definitely brings something fresh to like a stale PvP experience. If you've done everything already, then give yourself a challenge for sure.
Yeah. Now there are times I have my monsters, right? Like, and I was on a lobby just a couple days ago, running around with another person I just met in the sewers. They never PvP'd before, and they even gave me the disclaimer: I don't know how to PvP, and I was like, no problem. And I'm on a level 12, so I don't have any CCs yet, and I don't have a full, I'm on a level 12 down in the sewers, and he gets ganked immediately by an AD Nightblade. Hypno, I think is his name. I'm coming for you, Hypno. And so Hypno ganks this guy right in front of me, and I don't have a CC, so I can't stop the gank, and I don't have any way to prevent this. And then Hypno and I go on a 5-minute fight or whatever. And I'm a level 12 trying to fight this guy who's got ridiculous burst. And anyways, he gets me, and I was like, okay, log out. Let's go get one of the monsters. Like, I'm coming for you. Could not find him, but yeah. I like that, though, that EXP down there in the Imperial City is underrated, and you can make money. I make between $1 million to $2 million gold a week down there. So,
yeah. Okay. And that used to be the way to make to farm characters. I remember like back in like the vet days, I would do Imperial Series, had like a little route and stuff.
Yeah, the DC route. Like, it was a DC side.
Yeah, over at
vet ranks.
Blood Mist. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a DC. There was an EP one as well. I don't think it was quite as good, but yeah.
The DC one was the best.
Was that before One Tamriel? It was definitely before like Morrowind.
It was around there.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. It must have been like 2015, 2016.
Or before that, it was oh god, why can't I remember the name? The cave in Syria.
Crackwood Cave.
Oh, Crackwood Cave. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still terrified of going in there because I'm just like assuming there's going to be some like mega Chad farm bots in there or something. But it's usually empty.
I remember entire groups used to fight over that. It was so fun.
See, I only go to those places to get to level 10 really quick, and I never skip the starter mission. I always do the starter mission, every single character, because you get to pick the specific weapon types you want right at level 1 or level 2.
Oh, okay.
You can get farther into the actual skill lines that you want to develop, so I can get my ultimates quicker, I can get farther in quicker, so that way when you're right around level 30, you actually will have things at your disposal that you wouldn't have had you mismanaged your early development, if that makes sense. So, odd.
Well, it's been so long since I made a new character. Starter quest, like the PvE one with the Abnethar.
The tutorial and shit, yeah. Well, they have a new one now.
Yeah,
there's a new one.
They have a new one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's worth checking that out too, because
Yeah.
that's a underrated. I don't think they get enough credit, the devs or whoever, for the starter quests. A lot of people do it one time and then they never see it again. But they've actually, every time a new patch comes out, they've updated that starter quest to make it something different. So right now they have a quest where you go through and they teach you the basics of breaking free and the importance of heavy attacks and it's things like that. It's assisted. I don't think you would ever die unless you went AFK in it. Like,
Sounds
I
like a
think,
challenge.
I think your base health recovery would outdo anything's damage in that. So, but that's almost open world right now, right?
Okay.
It's not very challenging in open world. So,
yeah. Well, so you think that the ESO does a good job of teaching you the game? I mean, I think we were talking about this last week. I feel like, at least on the PvE side, like the overworld doesn't prepare you for like vet dungeons or trials and stuff.
Yeah.
But do you reckon it prepares you enough for PvP? Because it kind of teaches you, the blocking and the roll dodging and stuff. But why are people not? Why that hasn't like sunk in enough to make people use it in PvP?
Yeah.
It sounds.
Well, PvE is sustained damage over a duration. PvP is very burst. So your bars look almost completely different. Also in PvE, they're not required in some cases to even have access to major resolve or major brutality, major sorcery on their bar. It's provided to them from other people, right? Others in the group. And so that's a thing. I run into this probably 75% of the time where they literally haven't even unlocked their armor buff. They haven't unlocked it because and they'll be CP 500 running trials, right? It's just not even needed. And so then for PvP, we have to talk about you have to be self-sustaining. No one's coming to save you, and it's going to have to be you. And what's that look like? And so setting up their bar, and then they're like, well, I only have 3 damage abilities. And I'm like, I mean,
yeah, that's it.
That might be it, and we were talking earlier about sometimes you can't kill players outright. You have to make it a sustained fight, and you'll stam check them. That's how you'll kill them. Sorcerers are good with that. Maintain pressure on their shields with one type of dot pressure. Make sure you cleanse their Haunting Curse and their Endless Fury so half their burst is gone, and then just stay on them. And they're going to run out of magicka.
Sure. I mean, it's that like triangle, isn't it? The sustain survivability damage.
Yeah.
Which you have to just find the weakness.
Yeah. And that takes the journey. Most people are trying to figure out how do I get better at PvP? And it's like, you're going to have to figure yourself out. You're going to have to figure out what build and what play style is good for you and which class is good for you. And then you're going to have to figure out all these other people and how they're trying to kill you and how you combat each one of them. And so you have a journey ahead of you, and you have to take that journey on with intent to literally get better. Don't just say you're going to trying to get better and then throw proc sets on and like, this is me better,
Right.
Yeah,
so,
but definitely, what works for someone else might not necessarily work for you. Like following these builds, they're great, but I think you should just use them as like a sort of starter, as a base. You got to adapt to your own play style for sure.
Yeah, I had actually the person I'm meeting here later today, Galliant. She likes bow builds, and we started talking about it, and I just said, I'm telling you right now, I have to work twice as hard with a bow on anything other than a Nightblade to put people away. It's fun for me. And I'll have people that'll chime in. They're like, dude, your bow stam sork is gross. And I'm like, it's fun. It's mobile. It's fun, but where bows are at right now, I just have to work twice as hard to kill people. And I end up having to rely on that speed and that mobility just to create opportunities to do things. And so people are watching, they're like, it's really cool. It's really fun watching you play. And I'm like, yeah, you like watching me run for my life and try and pick people apart while they're murdering me. So, yeah. But, I tell her that, and she's like, well, maybe Bo Warden isn't the play for me right now or whatever. And I'm like, I don't want to deter you from it. I'm just telling you what you'll run into is lining up burst on it. You'll need something that's very stat heavy to be able to keep your vigor up and keep your Arctic Blast heal up while you're putting damage into people, and you need to rely on mobility as opposed to resistances to stay out and ahead of people and create space. So and then she's like, she goes from that to, well, what's a mag crow look like? And I'd say, well, if I were going to do a mag crow, here's where I would go right now, but you have a lot of options. And so we lay out all those options. A viable CC is one of the first things. You need a hard CC, bare minimum soft CC, so where do you get that on a mag crow? And is it going to be flame clinch, from the Destro line? Is it going to be your agony totem, which has a huge delay? Like, you drop it and then wait for you're like 2 seconds while they're murdering you, and then the CC comes and you're like, now you get a little bit of zone control out of that. You could drop it in a doorway and people are like worried about running through it. But if they knew how it worked, like if I'm chasing somebody, murdering them, and they drop an agony totem as they're running, I'm just going to follow them through it because it's hasn't even triggered yet. And so once you learn those things, it's different. But and then the whole question is, well, do you want to be meta or do you want to be off meta? Do you want to bring something to the table that people haven't quite seen before? They don't know how to, and so your beginners, they don't even know what they don't know anyway, so it's not going to throw them off. They're still going to try to kill you nonetheless. The intermediate to advanced players are starting to learn, and then when you run into them and you start, say, using Volcanic Rune from the Mages Guild line, which has an obnoxious knock-up and a burst on it, and you start using that in place of a CC, that's your CC, that also has a burst component attached to it. The intermediate to advanced players don't see that regularly. And so the first time they get knocked up in the air, they're like, what the hell? What?
Yeah.
And so now, do they possess the ability to pivot how to combat that, and so that's what it comes down to. And then the advanced players, they're like, Volcanic Rune, nobody runs at my guy, and so, but I don't know, it's fun. It's a choose your own adventure. That's how I approach it. Like, I don't know, what do you want to be when you grow up?
PvP has definitely got the most flexibility in terms of.
Oh yeah, it's very open-ended. So, I'd say it is the end game, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, like you say, like if they've seen it before, then they're going to know how to combat it. If you come at them with something new, then boom, you're top dog.
Yeah. That's a lot of fun.
Going back to the journey though, like the maturation process and all that, learning along the way. It seems like most players don't want to do that.
Yeah, they really don't.
And I don't get that either. Like, I get that maybe, like, we, again, going back to what Dot said too about how there's like no middle in that food chain for you to kind of like learn through. I also don't get that either. I to an extent I kind of disagree with him, because at the same time it's also like a player problem. Like, people get in this game in particular, I don't know why it's this game in particular, but people get discouraged so easily. And they're so afraid to try. They're so afraid of failing. They're afraid of dying in a game. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like
Elder Scrolls universe being kind of like sort of role play friendly. And,
yeah, sure, but like it's a game. It's still a game.
Skyrim.
Why are people afraid of failing or making mistakes, man? I don't get it. It's
that and immediate gratification.
Okay.
Right? It's the combination of the two. They don't want to fail, and we also need to have immediate gratification, otherwise we're not entertained, right? We're not getting what we want out of it. And only the people that seek me out are the ones that are like, I want to get better. Whatever we need to do to get better. And they take the steps to get better. It's the same with in the gym industry. A lot of people New Year's resolutions. They'll say they want to get healthy, they want to get in shape, and the actual start of that is getting started. Get started. Like, go to the gym. Do you even have a gym membership? Have you even, like, saying and doing two different things? And so immediate gratification comes into play for sure too.
Why do people start going to the gym in January? That's like the worst time, because at Christmas you get all this chocolate and stuff.
New Year.
Yeah,
it's like a new year.
Your house is full of chocolate for a start.
Yeah,
that's like the worst thing. You should start like March. Yeah. I'm sure gyms are gonna like hike the prices up in January.
Oh boy. So the real answer to that is beach bodies are made in the winter, and so if you want to get ready for the summer, you have to start January to be ready, as the summer rolls around. So for women, they're coming out of the holidays and maybe they're getting married that summer. They're gonna need
up for the winter.
They're gonna need to get started. And guys, I'm sitting here rocking Dad Bod 2.0. So, guys put on weight as well through the holidays, and so that's part of it. It's not an overnight thing. It takes a minimum of, for like a body transformation, it'll take a minimum of probably 8 weeks. So there are ways and tricks, like we're getting into the gym industry now, but if you were to join the gym and you would say, I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, number one, in my head, I know that we have athletes that cut 20 pounds in 2 days for a fight, but there's processes that we do. Yeah. There's a process. Well, it's their diet. You can't outwork a bad diet, so their diet's proper, their salt intake or sodium intake is low so that it doesn't hold on to moisture or water. And there's a lot of process to this, or science to this, right? Because science. But so I know that athletes can do it with the proper diet, and I know that athletes can do it with proper water intake. They're drinking roughly 2 gallons of water a day. And so when they go into their training session, we'll lose 4 to 8 pounds in a training session. They'll lose 4 to 8 pounds in one training session because their diet's proper and their water intake's high and they're flush with water. And so cutting 20 pounds ends up not being that. And then there's another thing called floating weight. And when your diet's proper and your workout regimen is proper and your water intake's proper, you will actually lose 1 to 4 pounds overnight, And so when you're weighing yourself before you start your workout and weigh yourself after your workout, and you realize that you're losing 4 pounds just in your workouts, and then you're weighing yourself before you go to bed, and when you wake up and you're realizing you're losing 3 or 4 pounds there, it sounds scary because you're like, holy crap, I'm losing 7 pounds a day. But the reality is it just means you can eat healthy, right? You can, your portions can be adequate. It's not like I'm starving myself. It's just my meals are proper protein and proper nutrients. So diving way too much into the gym. That's good.
I mean, it's a really interesting thing though. It's a really interesting thing.
Everybody's eyes, yes, eat your clockwork. Everybody's eyes just glazed over. They're like, what the hell is this?
I didn't glaze over. I'm interested because recently I started working out and I'm intent on like sticking with it. I really respect what Deltia did with the whole gamer gym rat. That's what I want to do this year. I actually started 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I've been walking, I've been squatting. Yeah, it's just like, what do you have planned?
For the gamer, I help manage Deltia, so that was never the intent, but it just so happened that the same way that streamers and content creators get sponsors and endorsements and things like that is very similar to fighters, and so we started talking about that, and so getting sponsors lined up for them or getting opportunities lined up for them has been a thing. So when we kind of go through, we figure out all your sellable space, and then we put together your analytics to present to sponsors, and then we just throw them out there to the world and see who bites, and so he recently got that Coca-Cola deal, and the Gamer to Gym Rat, he's got some really cool stuff. We have some really cool stuff. I actually told him off air on air to.
Oh, okay. Well, Ollie can DM me about it. I won't tell anyone. All right.
We're gonna organize a fight between you and me. 1v1 me.
Yeah.
Cage
fight. You guys are 1v1 in cage fight. Yes, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, it actually caught my attention when you said fighters. You're teaching fighters, MMA fighters, right? About like social media, and the first thing I thought was, who's that guy? Logan Paul, Jake Paul. Yeah, I was like, yeah, it's true.
Oh, yeah,
it's really important now. It's
like, try and get Jake Paul to fight one of us.
Yeah,
having a social media presence for a fighter, it's huge now.
Yeah, it's huge. I can tell you, one of the largest promotions, they don't care how tough you are, and that's a huge misconception with a lot of fighters. They literally care how much you move the gauge, how many tickets are you going to sell, and what your win-loss record is.
Entertainment value.
So, entertainment value, yeah. And you could actually be on a winning streak. You could have 4. I think John Fitch at one point even had 8 wins, and he got cut from the UFC, and it was because he was a boring fighter. And so, that you're in the entertainment industry, so be very entertaining in the way you kick people's butt, and then crush social media. And if you do that, you'll be winning. So interesting.
So you think Paul's doing it right? A lot of people's gonna hate him, but I think he's doing it right, to be honest.
Polarizing, and he's doing it right. Yeah. Anyone that fights him will have probably one of their biggest paydays outside of like a Conor McGregor, Mike Tyson, but think about the people like Woodley. Woodley's from St. Louis here. Woodley will have gotten one of his biggest paydays from those fights, hands down. And it wasn't so much on what Woodley's done, it's what Jake Paul is and what he brings to the table. So that's where we're at. They're knowing the line, walking the line, two different things. And in combat sports, everybody thinks that if I just need to beat up all the Billy Badasses, and if I beat up all these tough people, I'm surely going to make it. That's not actually the game they're playing. The game of combat sports is not to be able to do that. It's actually 2 separate components. It's working in your business and working on your business.
Right.
Working in your business is putting the time in on the mat, knowing all the different armbar transitions, all the defenses, all the escapes, how to be a good striker, how to be a good wrestler. That's working on the mat. Working on your business is increasing your brand, your social media, establishing your revenue. Like, I need merchandise coming in, my ticket sales, my sponsorship sales, my endorsements, my affiliate marketing, like all these other things that you do to have additional money coming in. And so, and I'll have pro fighters. It's very easy to run off wins when you first go pro, because there's tons and tons of people that just go pro out of financial necessity. I need to keep the lights on, or they think they're a tough guy because they knocked Tommy out at the bar and Lisa out at the bar and whatever. They think they're tough.
Lisa. Okay.
You'd be
this whole room of 10-year-olds with knives, and I beat them up.
Yeah. UFC. You're UFC bound, right? Yeah. Yeah. So you're 10-0. Congratulations. You're in there. So, but yeah, they think they're tough, and then they realize that their offensive and defensive playbook's lacking when they actually run head-to-head with somebody that's a legitimate trained fighter. Being willing to fight and knowing how to fight, 2 separate things. Same thing for PvP and ESO. We were talking about this earlier. Say you come around a corner and you're in a long room, and someone else comes around a corner, and they just immediately run at you and start attacking you. And they're willing to fight, but you notice, because you're a trained fighter, they didn't even apply their buffs. They didn't get their vigor going, like a preemptive heal going. They didn't apply their armor buff, major resolve. They literally just saw somebody and saw red. And willing to fight, don't know how to fight. And so I like your chances when you are spending the time to get your armor buff and your weapon damage or spell damage buff up, and you're assessing your line of sight, and where am I going to dodge roll to as I hit a vigor to get some heals coming in to create space. What CC am I going to hit them with? And that's how you start the fight. You start the fight immediately with a CC, so you're winning the fight even if it's not in a missing health regards. You're winning the fight. You got your first CC off, and you know that your hard CC will come off cooldown in 6 seconds. So you're going to be able to, in another 6 seconds, CC them again. And if you flip the script and think about what it did to them, they took a hard CC right at the open of the fight. They don't have their armor buff up or their heals or anything like that. It's going to put them way behind right out the gate in the fight, and now they're on their back foot trying to recover. And that fight probably isn't going to go very long because they still need to apply those buffs, before they even actually, there's a big discrepancy between willing to fight and knowing how to fight.
Yeah. I'm glad you're talking about this because when I was PvPing, I was streaming PvP too, like people would ask me, well, how do you know this player is inexperienced, or like, why are you singling this player out in this crowd of 5-6 people that's chasing you? I'm just like, I tell the viewers, like, I don't know how to describe it to you guys, but like, I might sound crazy, but the way they're moving, like, tells me if they're experienced. I don't know how to describe it. It's the way they're like moving, or I don't know, like not moving, but like
bunny hopping sorts.
Like casting, like you know what they're doing, like everything, just all about it. Like you can tell if it's an experienced player or an inexperienced player, right? It's like the way they're casting skills, maybe the way they're light attacking. Are they jumping around? Like what's going on?
It could be as simple as when they hit you with a fossilized, do they rotate to your back? They're constantly trying to take your back, and you're like, that's trouble. Like I have to break free, or maybe it's not a fossilized, best CC in the game, but it's something else. Every time they CC you, they're rotating to your back. Yeah. So now not only do I have to break the CC, but I also have to realign them or get them in my attack hitbox, right? And they're constantly rotating my back, and just that right there, that's a movement thing, you'll recognize people. Another thing too is whether they're effectively block casting on classes or playstyles that are block cast capable. And like you'll run into a bad DK, mag DK, and you'll run into a good mag DK. And a good mag DK knows that they can block cast their entire offense. And so when you ever first lock horns with a good mag DK, they've dotted you up and you've done virtually no damage to them because you're burning through their stamina pool, not necessarily their health pool, right? They're block casting and applying their full offense on you. And then next thing you know, you're looking down, and the pressure that they all applied in that first engagement is hurting you. And then their CC game comes into play, and they have some of the best CCs. And momentum of that fight, just their offense is pressure, and then every time you have to break free and get out of their CCs, it's making a resource fight for you. And it's just a good mag DK is just agonizing to fight against. It's terrible to fight. A bad DK doesn't know that they can block cast their entire offense, and they don't get the jump on you at the beginning.
Right.
So,
but yeah, people thought it was crazy. But it's also the same thing in PvE too. I don't know, Ollie. What do you do? Like, in PvE, like you can tell. You don't even need to look at logs. You don't need to look at CMX. When you watch somebody like parse or like whatever, tank, heal,
all their animations are perfect. Standing in like a sensible place. Dude. All these things.
Yeah,
you can tell.
Yeah, and it's such a good combat system. Honestly, the fact
that
it
really is.
You can say that.
It is. I give Zoss a lot of, like, if you saw my community thing, I'm always putting, Crown Stores, game doesn't work, but Crown Stores updated. Zoss, always looking out for me, and I'll put stuff on there. Or like, let's introduce crits to proc sets, so that way when people die, when people are dead all the time, they don't realize abilities aren't working, And so I take pokes at them or whatever to things. I don't worry about the high-end PvPers. And Is There No One Else said this, and it made a lot of sense, but he's like, I'm just going to adjust. I will figure it out. That's what I do. I'm a theory crafter. I'm a PvPer, and I'll figure it out. I take the same mindset. I don't worry about my well-being. It sucks when I can't break free. It sucks when I don't have... I'm literally holding block and taking 100% damage.
Right.
These things suck, and I can't work around them, but it is what it is. But I worry about the new PvPers, and as they're coming in, and they don't even realize these things are happening to them, and then they keep dying, and then there's so many mixed messages of where to go for good PvP training, and different mentality. And there is a thing like throw yourself at the lion over and over again. Not everyone is built like that. I had a guy, Imp, Imperialist is his name, and Imp joined our Discord when he was new to PvP, and his mindset was, I'm going to throw myself at the lion over and over and over again until I figure this out. And he would go up into Imperial City, and Imperial City and the districts has some of the best small scalers. You will from time to time run into some of the best small scaling groups there that are dangerous, and he would just throw himself at them over and over again, and he is an absolute murderer. He is but that journey is not for everyone, because not everyone can handle that type of failure over and over again. And there is a quote that says success is reserved for those willing to pay its cost, and its cost is failure.
Sure.
And that applies to life.
Success, right. Exactly. That's what I was talking about. Like, why are people so afraid of making mistakes or failing? How else do you learn, man? Like, when I was trying to relearn PvP, you mentioned Qkiie and stuff like that. I started dueling anyone, and I was fine with losing because I wanted to lose. does that make sense? Like, no, I'm serious. Yep. And you get better after every duel. Sometimes we still, like, at first I was just dying. The first 25 seconds, then stalemated to a minute, and slowly but surely you improved. And I died a lot.
There's no shame in losing.
I died a lot.
Especially if you can chalk it up to experience.
Yeah, like, and I'm just like, I don't know why people are so timid about it, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. We were talking about this earlier about Imperial City. If I'm running around and there's another shark. Like, how you said you have the trained eyes and you can watch somebody and you can tell that's a skilled player or that's somebody that's still learning. You'll eventually know who the sharks are. People that are gamers that can hang in fights and can turn fights around and stuff like that. And how such underrated skill that is, being able to turn the fight. But I think that we'll avoid people. Like, there's no need for me and another shark to butt heads for 15 minutes and go through the 5-10 minutes, not when we're in a target rich environment and there's there's literally 2 PvE guilds down here farming bosses. Like, let's
100k Telvar, let's go for that.
Yeah, so let's go do that. And so there is a little bit of honor amongst thieves, I guess, from time to time, where 2 good PvPers are just like, there's no point in us fighting. Would be fun, but it's more fun to go get our 1vx and make a bunch of Telvar. So,
well, I mean,
some of these PvP Cyrodiil trains, though, they do go head to head.
Yeah,
that's pretty interesting to watch.
I mean, recently though, I've so the last time I PvP'd, and also recently I've heard as well, there's some bloggers that just don't engage each other.
Yeah.
And that's like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people don't engage their friends. Like, I sometimes
I hate that
from people on my friends list that say, "Oh, sorry for killing you."
I hate that.
Dude, it's fine.
Especially in Cyrodiil.
We're in Cyrodiil. It's what I signed up for.
Yeah, I hate that. Especially in Cyrodiil, dude. Like.
And the longer you play, the more people you know. Like, I probably couldn't kill most of the people in Cyrodiil if I...
Dude, at a certain point, it's not just a walking simulator, it's just kind of like a stand around simulator. You just kind of watch other people fight, because no one wants to either fight you or no one wants to... I don't know, it's just like... It's just a huge empty zone at times.
The only thing I think about is... If they're... say it's Deltia. Deltia is out there... in Cyrodiil, and let's say he's lagging behind, which he does regularly because he's talking to chat. He engages his chat really well, right? I wouldn't jump on other streamers. Like, if I saw you down there, I would jump on you at the beginning, Nephis, like, we're gonna fight, and then I realize that's you, and I'm not trying to
Volunteer.
Well, like I don't know if you're streaming, and I don't know if you're, like, whatever you're doing, and I'm not trying to do that. So I would rather you go and kill that 10-man squad right around the corner, or I'd rather run side by side with you for an awesome potential clip. It's like this is what it's like when worlds collide, or and we
Yeah.
So we put a bunch of streamers together for Mid-Year Mayhem last year, and it was called the ESO Expendables, right? Because it reminded me of the movie The Expendables, and so we all just teamed up and just went out in Imperial City and just fought anyone and everyone. It was crazy, lots of fun. So, but
I don't think I'll be going back to Cyrodiil for Mid-Year Mayhem for the first time ever.
Really?
This year. Yeah.
It's good. There's so much AP.
I can't,
you can get like 100k.
I know, but like, it's whatever. But like, I can't PvP anymore, man. I can't, because I remember what it used to be like, and it makes me depressed. Because it's either too dead or too laggy. In Cyrodiil, at least. I see it's always too dead. Like 99% of it's too dead. BGs, well, at a certain point, after your 5th, 6th, 7th win or match, it takes like 20 minutes to queue. Come on, like, I don't, like, I'm not. I don't know. That's why I haven't been PvPing, and it just makes me depressed, man. It really does.
Well, I think you need to take breaks from these things from time to time. Like, I don't play every campaign. I might play like every other campaign or something in Cyrodiil. Otherwise, anything gets a bit too stale.
But it's also not even like the content-wise side of things. It's like the communal side of things. I mean, dude, we can talk about this. Yeah, let's talk about it. Grim, what do you think about PvP right now? What's the state of PvP in your opinion?
What is it?
Yeah, what do you think it is? Like, what's the state of PvP? Yeah.
Oh,
good, bad.
I can tell you that there is a lot of traffic in Imperial City right now. Over the last 2 weeks, yesterday I went 100-0, or the day before I went 100-0 on my kill death ratio, kill counter, and that was a lot of fun. There's been more traffic in Imperial City than I've ever seen before.
Really? Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so there is a huge new, like, they're doing a great job funneling new customers in. ESO is. And some of it is returning customers from the New World situation, and people are like, there's duping and balancing issues. I'd rather go back to a game that's, having performance issues, but at least has all this other stuff, like engaging combat. And so target-rich environment, performance, really, really bad. Really bad. But it's weird. It's so sporadic. My buddy and I, Papa, were just talking about this last night, and it's kind of like you get a sip where there is no lag, there is no performance issues. I could break free when I try, and PvP functions properly, and then something amazing happens, and you're like, there it is. That's where have you been? And then in the very next like battleground, or the very next, you walk through a door and you're like, I cannot even use vigor. Like, vigor's not working. My gap closer's not working. I can't execute right now. Take flight isn't working. Why the hell are my weapons under my feet? Just weird things like that. And it's just like, I just wish that, the 1 out of 10 times was at least 5 out of 10 times. Even half the time it would perform like that, and it would be wonderful. So it's very hard not to get resentful or angry or depressed, like you were saying, when you're playing and you have this amazing opportunity to fight this outnumbered group. This is the fight you were waiting for. I like my chances. This is what I live for. Right here, the very first CC you take, you can't break free and you die. And it wasn't that they were good, and then they teabag you on top of it, right?
That's whatever. Yeah.
It'll be the one random person that doesn't even show up in your death recap, right? Like, the group moves on, and the one random person just stays and teabags you, and you're like, really? You weren't even in my death recap, my guy. But it's frustrating. That's the moment that you live for, and you wanted that. Like, let's go. Can't break free from the first CC, and it's so disheartening. And then it happens 3 or 4 times in a row, and you're just like, get me out of here. Get me out of here. I don't want to do this right now. And that's the hard part. And then to stay positive about it too, when the new PvPer contacts you and they say, I want PvP training, and not to go, okay, well, here's what you need to do. You need to create an armor set that breaks free for you for free, and in your CP you need to get the break free, CP, so that way you don't ever die to some BS. So, but you don't want to take that you know, they still have a journey ahead of them. But I would say performance is bad. We were in Zerodead last night, and there was literally like a 60-man group running around, and we were on DC, and they were on EP, and we were doing open field fights. It was crazy. And half of the group is like bald and moving, and so we're sidestepping it and biting the tail and stuff. And then abilities stop working, and like my buddy Papa is like, I literally cannot use abilities. I'm just light and heavy attacking people right now. And he's like, and not only that, like they're not landing sometimes, you know, like not even landing. And so then it's like, well, what's the point? We're literally just coming out and doing this dance where one or two abilities are working, and sometimes we're getting killed. I'm way over here, and Dark Convergence is over here, and it yanks me all the way into Dark Convergence. And I'm like, and you get a bird's eye view looking down on the battlefield, all you see is just huge Dark Convergence conglomerates, you know, and it's and then plague break explosions and stuff like that, and you're just like, man, like just make it skill-based PvP where these groups are literally having to kill people themselves, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just make it that. A lot of people would be fine with that. I don't know. That's where I'm at. Performance is rough. So I did watch Rich Lambert's video where he was like, hey, performance issues like fixing Take Flight, very different team than the team that updates the Crown Store. Made a lot of sense when he said that. I was like,
right. That's always been the case.
Yeah, makes sense when he says it, but in that same case, cosmetics and Crown Store updates come easier. Why are we still running around with our weapons underneath us? It's not a it's a cosmetic thing. My weapons are underneath me. Let's fix that. It's been how long now?
Years.
Yeah. Let's fix that, you know? And there should be a priority list on what things should be getting fixed over others. Like Take Flight is a class-defining ultimate that needs to be fixed properly. And it's either doing one of two things. Either A, it's not working at all and you can't target people. There's a targeting issue with it. Or B, you're doing, well, there's three things. Or you take flight.
Stuck.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That, which is a cosmetic thing, right? It's the cosmetic aspect of the ability. I don't know.
Animation kind of,
Animation. But the other thing is, I've had people do Take Flight on me, and the knock up, I fly up in the air and I hit the ground and I take 26k fall damage.
Yeah.
What? What's like trash the programming for the ability and let's just rewrite it. Let's just make Take Flight over again. Like if you can't figure it out, just rewrite it. That's I don't know.
And that's what they did with a lot of those like gap closers. Like I remember that what's the two-hander one? Like people would just end up going through the floor.
Yeah. Crit charge. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say people couldn't use that for like at least a year because you use it and then your character would be stood still. Yeah.
I wanted to have Gina. It would have been awesome to have Rich Lambert on the podcast, and I would have submitted the questions beforehand. But those would be questions that I would ask. Let's talk about Take Flight specifically and the problems that you guys are running into in doing it. And then I wanted to ask simple questions because sometimes the simple questions, the simple answer is the one that's overlooked immediately. Could we not just scrap Take Flight's programming and just rewrite it? The mechanics of it and the animations.
Probably takes a while though.
Oh yeah, I would imagine.
I think there's a disconnect with players where the whole thing about servers too, like I'll just replace the servers. Like it sounds simple or whatever, but I don't know. It's probably more complicated than we think.
Yeah.
And then
I
think
I know
business
actually,
point of view, like is it profitable for them to be fixing all their old content? When it's not what brings in.
I think it's mostly technical, not really money, from what I can assume.
But but if they're putting their efforts into that, and they could be putting it into new content.
Like, did you see that Twitter post by Gina, by the way? Since you brought up Gina, Grim.
I did about
communication,
communication,
and bug tracking and stuff. What do you think? Like, what do you think too, Ollie? Like, how do you? I don't know. Like, communication to me is like a two-way thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, to me, the problem is, like, you know how they do those combat preview updates, right? They do it like the weekend before Monday, where it is the PTS cycle.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, we're telling you, not talking with you, right?
Yes.
And then the whole bug tracking thing, I don't know why that, like, I don't want to sound like mean or anything, but I don't know why that needed to be asked. Like, what, when she asked, like, which bugs are prioritized, I'm just like thinking to myself, I mean, sure, there are probably thousands of bugs or whatever, and there's, like, you know, typos or NPC dialogues not working, but it's it's like, come on.
Yeah, it's not like game breaking.
Come on. What about, you know, like, skills, or like maybe an instance being bugged, or like the door in Wayrest not working? You know what I mean? Like, things that actually affect players. So, you know, like, and of course, you know, the counter argument is probably gonna be like, whoa, don't you think, you know, missing NPC dialogue also affects players? I'm sure, but like probably to a lesser extent, less serious, in my opinion.
Yeah,
maybe I'm biased.
Perspective thing. Maybe we're
maybe I'm biased.
We care more about combat than like dialogue errors. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit too much of listening and waiting to talk on their end, because they already have their mind made up. You can kind of see what I'm talking about when we talk about the PTS. You have a lot of content creators that go on the PTS to target problematic things. Excuse me. And they're like, do not send this live. Dark Convergence, Rothgar's Chill, you know, Plague Break.
The new trial as well. People are like, it's kind of dumb that we have to use Mistform or whatever. And then it gets changed, but it gets changed like 6 months after it's released. And we'd already said that wasn't ideal gameplay.
Yeah, I don't think so. This kind of goes on to one of the topics we were talking about. You talked about the class rep system.
Yes.
Every class rep or former class rep that I've talked to, the communication there is only a one-way street. They'll ask you what your opinion is on it, but then nothing is ever done in regards to that opinion, because I think the wheels are already in motion. So that's not a real communication. The PTS is similar, I think. The PTS is same. The wheels are already in motion. This is going to go live, and there's only minimal changes that we can do along the way. And anytime something is identified as major, game breaking, or problematic, it ends up going on the 6 months down the road schedule, right? And so that tells me that the PTS is not coming out far enough in advance.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a test server; it's a preview server, if anything. Yeah.
That right there. Right there.
I've always called it window shopping, honestly.
Yeah.
It really is for the next patch.
Yeah. Real communication from her would be different. Real communication would be listening. Why are we doing why are we experiencing a little bit of cancel culture in every time someone comes on to the forums and they're asking legitimate questions about PvP?
You're talking about people getting banned from the forums, bro.
Right.
I've stopped. I've tried my best with the forum. I stopped going there. I think there needs to be a new forum, honestly. Not like official forum. Like, I don't know. That place is gone at this point.
So the forums are not a viable vehicle of transportation with the devs anymore, or the powers that be. The class rep system, in my opinion, you would know more, is not a viable thing. I could come to you and tell you, I could tell you 5 things that need to be fixed today that would make PvP better, and they wouldn't even be, it would be like just, I don't even play DK, but fix Take Flight, you know, let's get the weapons out from under us. It's messing with even beginning or PvPers' immersion in the game, you know, like I'm surfboarding on my weapons or I'm running on my horse. And so there's just things like that, but
Go ahead.
Real communication would be us saying those things and then her taking notes and then saying, let's circle around a week from now and I'm going to have a time frame on these things.
Right.
An update on these things. And that's how real communication works. But we don't have that. I don't know about the class reps, but like I said,
it's
everyone
like
I talk
half.
Yeah. So
it's also like, wait, what was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought.
I talked too much. Sorry.
Oh no, yeah. I was gonna mention that Payne also brought it up in his stream, one of his streams, like that the devs basically have their own schedule. I guess if he knows about that, I can talk about it. But yeah, they have their own schedule. You know what I mean? So it's like completely different from player expectations or player timelines.
Yeah.
Or like so I don't know how that would be solved.
I don't know. I think when it comes down to her asking for better communication is a two-way street.
It is, yeah.
And you got to circle back around with timelines, on resolving those issues. And I think lag right now across all platforms and all forums need to just say that is not going to be resolved. So let's not talk about that until they figure out that it is going to be resolved. But it's not an option. And then we have people that'll say, well, it is an option because New Year's mid-year mayhem, they rent servers, and mid-year mayhem is amazing. I got 100 people running around nuking each other and I don't have lag. And it's like, I don't know.
I know that's a very popular like theory or opinion that people have. I even talked to Christopher ESO about that on the one of the earlier podcasts for ESOU, and he talked about it. I told him, but Christopher, like I like no-lifed in Blackreach in 2020. Like I spent every waking hour of my life there. Like literally, like I was like, I don't know if I ever told you this, but like I would fall asleep in my chair on stream. All right, at 3 a.m. 4 a.m. in the morning, and I would tell one of the people running with me, "Hey, I'm gonna like power nap a little bit at this resource tower. Just hang around with me and just kind of wake me up if there's like an 80 or something." That's how hardcore it is. And I experienced the worst lag. And everyone after that admitted, "Oh, the lag was so much better." And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think that's it. And it's not the fact that there's renting servers or whatever, but it's the fact that I think people jump around more between the smaller campaigns, so they experience less lag. But yeah, no, I think that's it. And also,
I mean, maybe because there's less people doing trials or something in mid-year mayhem that some of the server capacity gets. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's not it. It's
another weird thing is, why could you be 1 bar pop and still experiencing skill delay and lag? You know what I mean? We've gone into Zerodead and it's been 1 bar pop, and we're trying to take a resource and abilities aren't working. We're like, what the heck is going on right now? Like, it's 1 bar population. We don't have ball groups jumping around, and so that's the part that's so hard to figure out.
The only thing I could think would be that it's like server population across all zones maybe affects it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, going back to communication, I wish they would do. Do you remember Robo?
Robo, yeah.
Yeah. The previous lead combat dev. How they used to always have the ESO live with him, like a lot. But nowadays, the only ESO live streams of devs we get is like, like interesting things too, like sound design and all that, and lore, whatever. But at the same time, it's like I haven't seen a combat live stream or like where they take questions or anything, and like since Robo. Literally. I think, actually, the last one I remember is with Gilliam and Brian Wheeler. And that was in 20...
You get a couple of like
18?
And
no, it was 2019? 2019? 2018?
Yeah.
I don't remember, dude. 2020, 2019. It's been a while.
Don't you think that message needs to come from somebody that understands PvP inside and out, like super thorough? They understand every class, its strengths and weaknesses, every weapon, everything, and they have no allegiance to a specific class, right? Because they're not trying to buff a specific class, is it? So
we're not really class reps anymore. That's the thing. It's just like combat. It's just combat related. That's it. No more. It's not like, okay, I represent MagDK. People still have this weird idea. It's like, oh, which class do you represent? I'm like, It's it's just combat now. They should rename it, honestly.
Yeah. Combat reps. I think that would be cool. If nothing else, why do you guys not get together and do a round circle discussion? Why don't you get together and roundtable discussion, just like Cypher and King Richard, like
schedules? There's 10 of us.
Yeah, there used to be. I'm sure there used to be they used to release like a PDF of like a meeting between the class reps, and
that would be cool.
So so take this. Not all of them need to attend. Just one person who it goes to your content, we'll say, and you're the guy, and it's whoever can attend at this time. And maybe you only have 2 out of the 10. Maybe you have, and it's always rotating, always different and different perspectives. And that right there would be huge. There you go. Send the check in the mail.
Oh.
That would be huge, though. Class reps and what the class reps messages are going to the devs right now. You are forum communications falling down. We don't have a way to communicate. You guys are actively in communication with Gina and with these individuals. You're out there getting drunk with them. So,
well, so, it's not like I talk. When I get drunk, I don't talk about shit with them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but you are the only outlet or inlet. You're the, like effective.
Man, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. When was the last time?
Finn usually blanks me unless I send like a funny meme or something.
When was the last time you spoke to Gina? Via email, message, whatever.
3 weeks ago.
It would have been
maybe
when we did,
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Last week. I don't know.
Months for me.
The last time I talked to Gina was never. I've never talked to Gina.
Okay.
She's never reached. Yeah, I've emailed her, tried to speak with her. I've never got a chance to talk to her. You have, and you're a class rep. I think that doing that episode, like a consistent state of PvP and getting those individuals together to talk about things that they've noticed, that would probably be one of the most viewed. You would think from a business, they would view that to say, here's what our class reps are talking about and what they feel right now. And foremost problems in the game, and they're in contact with our community. Our community knows that if they want to handle situations in the game, they go through our class reps, and then our class reps make the case on this episode, on this series.
So last night, and part of the reason why I overslept, I was on the Tales of Tamriel podcast with Lotus of Doom and Skinny Cheeks, and we talked a lot about this, and I was just joking around, but at the end I got serious, and I talked about like how they want cyclical player behavior in terms of the business model. I think that's really it. You don't really want long-term, I mean, not want, but like you want to encourage more cyclical player behavior for profit, because that makes sense. Like, you're more likely to spend money as a cyclical returning player than you are if you're a long-term player. I mean, very clear example. What do long-term players do with crowns? They go to somebody and buy crowns from them with gold. Whereas if you have 2 cyclical players, they both use their wallets or crowns to buy stuff from the crown store. And I think we can see some cases of that encouragement of the behavior with certain things, like, the curated RNG of sets. I think that's kind of worrying. I don't know how that will affect player behavior in the long run, because like a large part of the game is grinding.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's also the fact that PvP and certain things in PvE, I don't know, it's like just encourages that behavior. But yeah, I don't know.
So keep this in mind. I'm going to use this in the gym industry, but it's called the average lifetime value of a customer, or average lifetime value of a client.
Right.
In the gym industry, we want to increase the average lifetime value of a client as long as we can. The longer that they're training with us, we're getting monthly memberships or ESO Plus. And they're going to need to purchase new boxing gloves, new gis, new equipment, new whatever, or there's ancillary income, other forms, they're getting, I'm getting
buying the DLC.
Yeah, they're buying the DLC, or they're getting supplements at the gym, right? So here's the one thing that you need to also take into, it's the cost per client acquisition. how much is it costing them to funnel or continue to pour water into this bucket that has huge holes in the bottom of it, you know, and most of the people that are leaving the game, which is called churn or burn, they're leaving the game because blocks not working, take flight, and their skill set gets to a point where they realize and recognize this stuff more, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it costs money to continually fill the bucket. So what is their cost per client acquisition as opposed to just increasing the average lifetime value of a customer through repairing this stuff in the game? So you have to take that into account. How much is it their ad spend or advertising and marketing to get the new client? It has to figure in, because they already have the other people. All they literally need to do is make the game work. Right. So, right? That's tough. I don't know without seeing their books or knowing what how that breaks down.
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't even know what I was looking at. I would just be like, "That's a lot of numbers."
I guess the only difference between that is like how many people can you fit into the gym? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so that's one of the things that you have to take into account too, is how many people can you fit into the gym, where functionality is thing. So that's where growing and scaling comes into place. So if you're opening a gym and you're $150 a month for kickboxing or MMA,
mm-hmm.
as your gym starts to fill and functionality within the space starts to get a little rougher, you start scaling your pricing. And as your churn or burn happens and you're losing clients for this, that, or the other, the new clients that are coming in are coming in at a higher cost. And that higher cost handles maintenance or repairs or fixes the holes in the bottom of the bucket. And so I think that I've talked about this before. I don't know that the allocation of funds is proper. We haven't seen scaling per se, like they haven't changed the price of ESO Plus, but they've made considerably more money off the Crown Store and all of these aesthetics in the game and housing and things like that. Are we seeing those funds put back into the game to hire the proper staffing to fix, to seal up the bottom of the bucket? And so those are things that really interesting to me, that I would like to have that conversation with Gina. I don't know everything. I learn new things every day, but I'd like to ask that basic question, right? Like the average lifetime value of a customer, how does that equate to, and maybe she can't answer that because she's the community manager.
Right, I don't think she can answer that.
We need Todd Howard on the podcast. Come on.
Yeah. So
maybe we buy out Bethesda and like make it a publicly funded company and open. I'll put in $10 right now. Let's go.
Yeah, let me open up my crypto wallet. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. A lot of interesting questions though, that I don't think that they should shirk or should short the long-term players. We were talking about this off air. I'm a PvPer almost exclusively. I only leave Imperial City or Cyrodiil if I'm crafting armor or farming stuff for a build. But I've spent probably over $2,000 with the game easily. Because in-game PvP is also looking good while you kill people too. Like I have a bunch of skins and different mounts and housing and stuff like that. You need it for storage for all the different armor sets and stuff like that. I've spent my money in the game too, so I don't think it's that PvPers don't make them money. It's just that they're a smaller portion of populace, and therefore if we were going to break them up in those categories, they would say, well, PvPers are a smaller portion, therefore they make less money off PvPers. And it's like, actually, the real way to look at it is statistically, how much do the PvPers spend versus the PvEers? And you might find that the in-game PvPers spend more money trying to look good and get all this stuff in the game. So I'm not sure that that's sold. I'd want to see the numbers on it,
Yeah, that's why I hate it when people say, oh, they don't care about us because, well, it doesn't matter if it's raiders or PvPers in this case. They don't care because we don't make them money. I'm just thinking to myself, how do you know that? You don't know the numbers or anything? Also, there's also no data, because when people say, oh, they're not making PvP content, it's not going to make them money. well, what about Imperial City? Like the last PvP DLC was Imperial City. You know what I mean? There's not enough data. Like what happened? You know what I mean?
Battlegrounds. No?
Oh, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like pure, or like not pure, but like mostly PvP DLC was actually the last. That was in 2016, wasn't it?
Real Godzilla just did an awesome video that talks about how skewed their research is. You ever notice that they don't implement one base study? They implement something and then also introduce another thing simultaneously, which will affect the numbers. And so let's take Battlegrounds to deathmatch only, right? But then let's also introduce nuclear capabilities, Dark Convergence, Rothgar's Chill, and whatever, right? And absolute toxic nuclear capabilities into PvP, and then they'll write a post. Real Godzilla just did this video. I just watched it.
I'll have to watch it.
The post will say, we experienced by introducing deathmatch only, we initially had an increase in PvP with a drastic drop-off. And then he said, how unaware are you that the reason people loved, oh, finally, now we can actually do PvP and PvP, you know, and we don't have to. I'm for the other game sets, or the other game styles, by the way, in Battlegrounds.
I'm not.
Well, they're the best ones. I don't want to tank a load of tanky guys for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Things to do.
Yeah.
The game moves are, I don't know.
We'll rewind and come back to that, but I am for them for a specific reason. But you know, let's do deathmatch only. And well, the increase was people were like, cool, deathmatch only, let's go. And then they get into it and start experiencing all the, like, how terrible Dark Convergence was and all these sets. And they're like, thanks, but no thanks. This is the worst PvP experience I've ever had.
Right.
I was one of those people. I was like, this is freaking stupid. I'm not even stepping into Battlegrounds. And that's where I lived. You know, and I'm like, I was mad and bitter. Like, why would they introduce this? This is literally, I understand. Let's introduce these sets that will help you combat ball groups. Ball group, you're also giving the ball groups those sets.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. It's the same thing over and over.
Over and over.
It doesn't matter if it's a skill or a set. Remember Proxy that they buffed it a lot.
Yeah.
What was it 2015, 2016? They're like, okay, now you can kill ball groups. Ball groups running Proxy that. Duelists running Proxy this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it happened with those Zerodead tests as well, when they were like, you know, changing whether you could heal outside your group and all that kind of stuff. And there's one with the
GCDs, like
like the cooldowns. No one was in Zerodead, and they're like, oh, the lag's fixed. Well, of course it's fixed. There's no one playing.
That
you got to look at the data.
Same story over and over, man.
The results are skewed because of things. Going back to the different battleground things, I like the different battleground things because for me, having themed builds or thematic different play styles, I might, in deathmatch, me making a tanky build, I'm bringing zero value to the team because once they realize I'm the tanky guy, they just ignore me, right? And so then my team, it's literally a 3-man team out there trying to do things, and I'm out there in the middle like, attack me, you know? Here I am. And they're like, yeah, you idiot. Who comes to Battlegrounds with 40, 50k health? And so, but in the other game styles, if I wanted to put a build together that's PvP viable, a tank, I put it together, and it's the objective based, like capture the flag, and all the teams are converging, and they have to kill everyone there. They can't ignore anyone, otherwise they can't flip the flag, you know, or whatever. And so I like them for that regard. Also, probably 50% of the new PvPers that I run into, they hate deathmatch. They hate it. Because that pressure moment where they're getting killed and they're fumbling or whatever, it happens to them over and over again. And so for those people, we need a lower barrier of entry, and let's do a objective-based stuff where PvP is possible, but it's not the foremost thing that's required, right? And so they'll get a little...
stay out of combat in a deathmatch.
Right.
Flag games.
I'm a PvPer, but I realize that there's value there in those other game modes because there's no way we're going to get these people that they don't want to get killed over and over again, but they also want to PvP. We got to get their toes in the door. We got to get them in somehow, and that's how you do it, is introduce them to a PvP environment where they may or may not actually have PvP, run in, and that's a low barrier of entry for them. So
I get that, but at the same time, it doesn't, like, some of these game modes, and especially with the level or map design for these game modes as well, and along with the lack of incentive to win, it just kind of encourages you to not PvP. Yeah. And that's where I'm dissatisfied with the current state of things. Even the layout of the BGs itself, like the 4v, 4v4, yeah, I think with certain game modes like Chaos Bow or going to the flags and ignoring fights, that is not good as well. That's, I don't know. And I think, we also talked about this a little bit as well. I think soft content makes soft players. I said this on last night's podcast with Tales of Terminal. I think soft content makes soft players. If you're gonna have this soft content, then you're never gonna get players who actually do want to improve. I mean, look at overland content. How does that prepare somebody for veteran dungeon? Really? Yeah. Like, how does veteran dungeon even prepare them for pet farm?
Come back to it like every week, yeah. I don't know, but I guess we also have to be aware that we're like the minority. Really.
We keep saying that. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping to change this summer. Fuck that.
Yeah. I would definitely get the other class reps together. I would set a day and time for you. It could be a significant, a really viewed thing. Everybody knows where to go to view the class rep discussions. That'd be something for you. So
yeah, I'm sure they used to have meetings and post it on the forums, like the meeting notes. But
yeah, we have. Well,
I've not seen that for years.
We can talk about what we forward to the devs and shit, but without because we're under NDA, we can't talk about.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We can't talk about what they tell us without asking them. Hey, is it okay to tell them? That's how it works.
Think about the community, though. If the masses see their class reps talking about the pain points that they're having and saying it, and the masses know that you are in communication with Gina and you are in communication with these people that are difference makers, they're finally going to feel vindicated or justified, I guess, that, well, at least it's out there, right? It's out there. Our class reps are going to bat for us. They're saying that this is a thing. Let's see what happens. So I think that's a good start for you.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Or
it's all on your shoulders.
I think your unique interactions, your YouTube channel is going to have like 200, 400 comments after every episode. Like,
oh, I doubt that.
Contradicting. You're going to say something like, we really need to focus on fixing Take Flight, and there's going to be 50 people that are like, why do PvPers always get to dictate what gets fixed? Blah, blah, blah,
man.
It's going to be grim arguing with people in the comments.
Bro. Man, but yeah, let's rewind all the way back to PvP, the state of PvP. I don't know. So Grim gave his thoughts. What about Yali? What do you think about PvP? And you're mostly a PvEer, right?
Mostly PvP, yeah. Raider, I mean, I do PvP. I'm getting up to my 3rd Grand Overlord now. I'm at like, he's at like, I think 13 stars or something.
Okay.
I know. I'm just like an AP farmer. I don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, right? With AP.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to play it.
Yeah, but it doesn't incentivize you to fight. That's what keeps getting me about these systems. The reward system, if there is a reward system.
For me, the reward is just having more stars. It's like looking cool, feeling like,
Wait, what do you feel about, how's PP on PC? Because I know it's a whole different world over there.
It's
compared to PC and there.
Really different. So first of all, like the prime time is way slimmer because we're all within about an hour of each other time zone wise. So it's like 7 to 10 p.m. You get like 3 or 4 hours. Whereas NA, as I understand it, you've got like Oceania players.
A shitload of time zones, yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got like 4 time zones in the US, 3 or 4 time zones in the US. 5. Okay. So, I don't know how that affects the lag, but maybe it affects the population. So we've got like a lot of players playing between sort of 6 and 10 p.m. So even like the last 2 weeks, I've experienced queues from like 6 p.m. The campaigns will be locked, and then you won't stop needing to queue until like 10, 11 p.m. at night. And it's laggy. It's really laggy. On the flip side of the thing, what we've also got is there's a lot of very strong players on EU. Whenever I watch these like compilations from NA streamers, now I don't know whether that's just because it's the videos that the clips that they're picking. Obviously, you're not going to pick a clip where you're like against some like tough guy, but they're kind of wiping through people real hard. And then I'll try the build out, and I'll get like completely, face smashed on EU. I don't know. Maybe the skills are different. I feel like it's a very different environment. NA PvP to EU PvP. I played a little bit on NA PvP, and the lag was not as bad. Like even with the like 200 milliseconds from EU to NA, like it was fine at what was meant to be prime time, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
There's two theories. One theory is the metas are so different. That's why an NA build won't work on EU. But I think the second more popular theory now is EU is just so much far ahead in terms of PvP theory crafting at this point, because PCNA is kind of, I don't know. Like in my opinion, I think as far as PvP, as far as the state of PvP goes for PCNA, I think it's dead or dying. I don't see much hope for it anymore, unless something happens this year. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Cypher doesn't really play much. Doesn't play at all, does he?
Cypher?
Cypher PK.
Bro, he's been gone since 2017.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about?
That's when I remember like NA PvP being.
Fang Rush left, dude.
Fang
Rush left this year. No, this past year. Well, yeah, you know what I mean. 2021.
Yeah. So it's like,
bruh.
Yeah. We need some more big PvP streamers maybe. But I mean we can share like builds and stuff across servers.
Yeah, I know, but like for PvP, I think a large part of why I don't have hope for PvP at this point is there's no community for PvP anymore, or any like voice really. It's all like disembodied voices saying, "Oh, fix lag, whatever," but there's like no direction. There's like no communal effort to say, "Okay, let's try to bring in more players for PvP." But like PvPers can complain all they want about, like, the ZOS isn't fixing the game, or there's no PvP content. But at the same time, the behaviors I've seen within the past 2 years, and I get it. I completely understand. I mean, last night I was on PlayStation, this random PvPer on PlayStation, right, on stream. Yeah, he kept whispering me like these fucking random hate whispers. PvPer, and I was in Shadowfen, Sky Shard hunting. Like, how bored or like how like bad is PvP to the point where you're just kind of like making or creating content for yourself? Like it's like, I get it. So I don't know, man. I think community-wise,
I think it's definitely not a priority really for people. I mean, most people get into ESO for like story, and then maybe they'll dabble in a little bit of PvE, but PvP is like such a separate thing that people don't get into it. And obviously when they hear that other people are saying, "Oh, it's laggy, it's terrible," and there's nothing there to entice them into trying it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think community-wise, it's gone. It's too far gone. People don't care anymore. No, I'm serious. Some players I know who would have been like, and Grim talked about this earlier with proc sets and how, I guess like really good PvPers try to stay away from there, but it's like at this point it's like, what? Who cares? Or people who wouldn't have exploited in the past, also like at this point in time, they don't care. They're exploit.
My buddy and I threw Plague Break on for the very first time yesterday or the day before. Absolutely freaking broken. That set is so freaking broken.
Right.
And I just put it on and I'm just like nuking groups, and I'm just like, it's literally no brain PvP. I just jump into a group, hit my ultimate, and just spin to win. Everyone blows up and dies, and I'm like, That's not fun.
No,
I mean,
exactly.
it's funny, but but it's not.
After like the sixth, seventh time of it happening to you, you're like, I'm done.
I'm like, why is this in the game? Why is this even in the game? I get it. Like, it's so gross on PvE. Like, you could clear full rooms and mobs, and it's just ridiculous. But from a PvP standpoint, it should not be a set. It's not conducive of a healthy PvP environment when you have that type of nuclear capabilities. And so that's where the problem is they need a voice. They need someone that says no to that set in a PvP environment, because it's problematic, immensely problematic. And if people want to wear it, let them wear it in Battlegrounds, or they shouldn't probably even be able to wear it in Battlegrounds, but let them wear it in PvE while they're grinding mobs or doing trials or doing dungeons, not in the PvP atmosphere at all. And they need somebody to stand there, to just stick by that. And what'll happen over the next month when that becomes a thing, people will be like, boo, you got our proc sets taken care away, and boo, you did this. But people eventually, over the course of the next year, will learn how to actually PvP. And they'll learn how to not be carried by completely broken sets. And there'll be more riveting PvP gameplay, I don't know. That's kind of where they need to go. But
it's happened in PvE as well. I remember, like, they changed the healing, that you could only use one orb at a time, and people were like, it changes the game completely. I hate it. I don't like it. I can't spam illustrious healing springs anymore. But really, I think it's made healing better, and I think people just need to sort of give it a chance. Really.
But you see where I'm going with this, right? With the whole community aspect of it too. Like, it's so downhill at this point. And with Frame Rush leaving, I mean, a lot of people don't like Frame Rush. I get it, or like whatever. But he took a lot of people with him too. There's no semblance of a community, so you don't have a voice. If you don't have a voice, what?
Yeah. I mean, what motivates you guys to PvP? Like, why do you go?
Fun, I guess. For Grim. He's teaching people, right? I think he's one of the few PvPers trying to actively teach people. I mean, I get that there's PvPers who do teach people, but that they're not like actively going out of their way to teach people, or bring new players in and telling new players, hey, I think that the most recent case of that was Annie, and like $4 doing like this Pokemon guild thing where they pick up new players in zone chat and they have them fight each other, but they teach them. no, I'm serious. They teach them. Them. Or
that sounds good.
They taught them. They gave them gear. They golded out their weapons and stuff like that. And they said, okay, fight each other, right? And we'll teach you, right? But like that was the last attempt, and not attempt, but like that was the last thing related to bringing new players in, and of course that didn't go on for too long, so it's I don't know.
I think you're it. You have a platform.
What?
You're it. You have a platform.
What
you can make PvP.
Fuck no.
Feel like how quick he was to that too. He's like, "Hey, happening."
No, there's other PvPer. I'm not a PvPer. I'm just a PvEer.
So
and some PvEers don't like me.
So be the community. Be the PvP community. You guys are the class reps, right? Start that channel, and the whole community that you could kind of be this filter, and then you can decipher what's really of importance and what's not, and where viewpoints are skewed, and what the hot topics should be, and then you do an episode discussing those hot topics, and the masses will feel really good that their class reps are actually discussing visually. They can hear and see them discussing these, and they know that Gina and those individuals are going to watch what the class reps viewpoints are. And it's it's a platform that the masses don't have. The forums are supposed to be that, and they're not. It's just a ban fest, whenever you
Why are they banning people? Because like people keep bringing this up in my YouTube comment section or whatever about the forums. I haven't really checked the forums in a while, but what are they posting that's getting them banned? Is it just fix the game or like lag? Or are they saying like stupid shit with that? You know what I mean? Because like there's a problem here too with how players communicate. Let's say, you know, we all agree that communication is two-way street, but the way that some players communicate or try to communicate their concerns about it is just fucking stupid. Like they just say the most stupid shit with some valid feedback like in there, but like it's like, bruh, like
insulting, uneducated.
Yeah, like they're just like fire the crown sword doves or whatever. What the fuck? Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is not how you like. Because everyone has an ego, for sure. Devs have an ego. You have an ego. Everybody has an ego. Once you kind of discard the idea that, hey, you know, like these people are just faceless humans or like whatever, then there's no communication. It's over.
Yeah.
I don't know. So what are people saying that's getting the ban?
Real Godzilla did a video on this not too long ago, but he made a post, and it was one of the most well put together. He discussed. Here's the thing: you can't complain about things without actually proposing a fix, or a workaround, right? Otherwise, it's just whining, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he put together this really good video with some options. And the why it's important that these things are fixed. And I was like, that's a really good video and that's a really good post. And well, then he posts it on the forums, and of course all the different people have all the different takes on it, and there's bad stuff that shows up in the comments section, and then the entire thing gets taken down.
Okay, so but that's not really getting banned for posting the feedback, right? That's just kind of like they're trying getting locked as of idiots, or things are escalating.
So it's really hard to get good messages out because of that. They need to be able to shut off comments to where he can post his piece. There's no comments allowed, and it's out there for the world. And the only thing that they can do is interact with it with a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever. And a thumbs up and a thumbs down would tell you kind of where the masses are at, right? Like if he did that post and there's 10,000 thumbs ups and 200 thumbs downs, the devs should probably take heed.
Look at that, right?
Yeah, and that's really how that needs to do. But people are getting, like Sawman UK or Captain Crunch was on Rich Lambert's thing, and he was asking questions like, you know, at what point are we going to fix this, or when are we going to do that? And Rich was in a mood where he's just tired of, you know, I'm tired of answering these questions or listening to this stupid stuff. And so he was just firing back, like, and next thing you know, it's the admins for Rich. I didn't see Rich like turn over here and go.
No, I saw the VOD. I watched the VOD, and I know what got that the Captain Crush, I think it was banned.
Yeah.
And it was not a good question. I think the whole thing was not good. Like from the start.
It's that.
The question was like, what was it?
How it's presented,
like,
right?
Well, he said like, well, why don't you fire the crown sword people? And hire more bug fixers. I mean, I get the sentiment. I understand where he's coming from. But it's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm talking about, though. Like communication. But I think also at that I don't talk about it because I think it's kind of meaningless, the whole interaction. But like, it's just like, again, it was ego. Everyone's ego was there. You know, because like the way the question was presented was like, it was like an attack. You know what I mean? And
Have you ever met Sawman UK?
Have I met him? I've talked to him in like DMs. I've seen some of his videos.
Yeah. So he does some of the most memey YouTube stuff that you could ever see, right? Like he really does stuff where I'm just watching it, shake my head, and I'm laughing, you know, but I'm just like, oh my gosh. But his message is on point. Like he's on point with the message. It's the delivery that I would say is, you know what, mission accomplished. His delivery's on point too, because that's how he presents things, right? It's a memey type whatever. Off air, he is one of the most well-educated, smart guys that I've ever talked to, and Delty is gaming as well. And but it's interesting, like we wouldn't want him to be our spokesperson. right?
Yeah.
We wouldn't want him pleading for the state of PvP.
Why don't the PvPers get together and choose some, or agree on something, a direction, or like how you want to Because for us, for raiders, for the PvP side of things, we have a similar issue, or historically we had a similar issue. Like we were pretty toxic, at least back then, and of course we realized at a certain point we can't continue like this. If we want people to be interested in what we're doing, and we got to bring in new players, we got to teach them, we got to let go of some of the stupid shit we're doing, the drama, the egos, everything. Yeah. And we did that. I don't know why PvPers don't want to do that at this point. It's still, I go to YouTube and so exposed video or like stream or whatever. Yeah. Like, come on, like, so I don't, you know what I mean? Like, why don't PvPers do that?
I think it's just like the nature of like streaming and content creation that you're not going to get like some level-headed smart dude's probably going to get less viewers than the guy that's raging.
Yeah, I realize that, but like,
and they'll have less of a voice.
At this point, why don't PvP content creators at the very least get together? Have you guys gone together?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what the podcasts are for and stuff like that. I can tell you, so Delty and I, we talk about this stuff. Is there no one else is probably one of the most well-spoken, well-thought PvP individuals that I've talked to. I really value Is There No One Else's take on things. Keep in mind that the meta between console and the meta between EU and the meta between NA has to come into play.
Okay.
When you're talking about PvP, because they're different things, and really someone that will really be in the know has to play on PlayStation, has to play on Xbox, has to play at PC NA and PC EU to understand that, you know. But Is There No One Else is not pitching for a class. He's pitching for balance. He's pitching for proc sets hindering, not helping in a PvP environment. He's pitching for performance, but he'll work around performance, and he would be, I would say he and Deltia for sure would be in, if I had to pick top 5, those guys are in the discussion where if Gina or somebody needed to reach out to a PvPer and they needed to say, and like real something was going to happen by the answer, those two people would be the ones for sure that were in the talks, because they're going to know, don't do that, or yes, do that. If you do that, we'll have balance in the force. If you don't do that, we're going to have absolute chaos till the next time that you get around to fixing it, and it will be not a healthy environment for that time frame. So, but are those people going to step up and do that, or do they just feel like their voice is lost to the void? Like if you ask Fangrush, that's what Fangrush would say, you know?
I watched his last patch. It was depressing.
Yeah, that's what he would say. That's what he has said. What's the point? What's the point to a class rep when I say don't do this because here's why, and I can list 5 negative things that are going to come from this, and it still happens anyways, you know? Like, it's just a glorified what, you know, like here's our class rep, but we literally don't have any ability to sway the outcome, you know. So I don't know, that he's one of the few, since he's not here, I can tell you, you know, he's one of the few that had issue. But
you have to go bio, right?
What's that?
You have to go bio, right?
Yes, I'll be right back.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm so like bursting.
Oh, okay. Right. Everyone's going to buy. Okay, I'll keep everyone entertained.
All right, be right back.
Oh shit! Turn off the camera. It's whatever. But anyway, I'm enjoying the podcast. I think we'll probably wrap it up here pretty soon. I don't want to kill people with bladder poisoning. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I really like to talk about the MMA and the gym analogy with ESO. You can find Grimsforge Gaming on YouTube. He also teaches people in his Discord server about how to PvP. I don't know. Let me see what you guys are saying. Everyone has a Bethesda, right? What do you guys want us to talk about next, or do you guys want to go ahead to questions and asking questions? Q&A session. At first now, later. Anyone? Any opinions? Plague is balanced. Okay. I'm just capping. I guess we'll skip to the Q&A session if no one has anything you guys want us to talk about. Talk about what got you guys in PvP to start. We talked about that earlier. Combat and friends and so forth. You know, having fun. Oh, that's a good question about healing PvP. So I'm going to bring that up because there's an interesting thing here with healing PvP. What are your thoughts on PvP? Planesbreaker? No.
I'm in the wrong place.
We've been going for a while. What the fuck?
Yeah. 2.5 hours. And
you gotta go soon, right?
No, we're missing a tank.
Oh, okay. I should PvP again. Fuck that. I don't want to PvP. I think it's gone. I really think it's gone, man. I really do. Gameplay wise, community wise, it's gone.
It changes every couple of months, though. I mean, like, just take a break for a bit and then come back.
I have been on break. I haven't PvP in months. Oh. I don't want to go.
Well, like Dark Convergence isn't as bad now as it was.
I'm not talking about Dark Convergence, so like, it's everything. It's everything. The gameplay, the people. It's just all fucked. I mean, there's like good kernels. There's like really cool people, and there's really nice people. But it's like, I don't know, man. It's just I don't see it. I just don't see it happening. People don't give a shit anymore, and that's okay. I get it. I don't give a shit either. But man, it's whatever. I think we got 2 more topics to talk about, and then we will move on to Q&A.
Sure.
One topic is healing PvP, and why that's kind of like looked down upon. How to get started. It really is. It's kind of weird. Hey, welcome back. We got 2 more. We got 2 more topics to talk about.
Okay.
And we'll move on to Q&A from chat. So the one topic that was brought up while you guys were gone, healing in PvP. What are your feelings on it? Because there tends to be a stigma, or not stigma, but like looking down on just healing in PvP. Does that make sense? You know what I'm talking about, right?
They're the heroes we need, but we do not deserve.
Yeah, someone told me like they went into BG's queue as a healer, and they asked the group to stay together, and even though they won the match, they got trash talk for being a healer by their own team.
What?
Shit. You know? It's like, what? What are people talking about, man? I don't know. But yeah, historically, it's kind of always been looked down on, especially by like, yeah. I think some 1vxers, and some like PvPers have this notion that you're a bad player if you just heal in PvP, or like you're just annoying to kill. I think that's where it stems from. You know what I mean?
I think that's an interesting. So Icy Fire Gaming, he's host or co-host for the 3 Skeevers. He's probably one of the most accomplished, best PvP healers in NA. I can say that for sure. He's very high MMR for Battlegrounds. He's been in with me just in our training sessions. We've been in, crazy 2vx scenarios where we've wiped huge groups, and I think it's just a different thing. I can tell you, if you're in a battleground and at high MMR, most high MMR teams are running around with a designated healer in the group.
Right.
And they're super strong,
sure,
right? Yeah. It's super strong. We've run into them where they've got 2 designated healers, right? And then 2 just really good damage guys that can turn it out. And that's what high MMR is. So I think that's a lack of understanding. Like, you can't bash being a healer in Battlegrounds when it's actually almost a prerequisite for being high MMR, you know?
Yeah.
That's somebody that doesn't know what's going on.
And ball groups as well, like a group of 12, 5 of them will be healers, to be honest.
Well, everyone's
huge ratio.
healing, but like there's still two or so dedicated healers, like actual dedicated healers.
Yeah. Now, if you're trying to 1vx or 2vx, we'll say, if you're trying to 2vx, it does take a little bit away from the accomplishment when you have a pocket healer.
Does it though? Because like everyone focuses the healer at that point, right?
Yeah, but just that time frame where they're focusing the healer allows you to focus them, and kind of this bait, right? It's like they got to kill you before I kill them, and I'm really good at killing, and so it's like that whole thing. But it, to some people, it takes away. To some people, they're like, there are 1vxers or 2vxers out there that are like, they'll discredit, well, you got a pocket healer, and it's not you. How do you do against outnumbered situations by yourself when your class and your build or whatever, you got somebody healing you? Of course you're going to win, right? And so they write it off like that. And so, I don't know. If the highest MMR almost requires at least one PvP healer, and you're seeing really high skill set healers at that, it stands to reason that they should be in the food chain. The importance is there. It's almost a requirement to be high MMR. So they can't really argue the point that they're not valuable in PvP. So
yeah.
Now, the amount of healing might be something like cross healing and things like that. That might be something that you discuss. And you know, should healing should be maybe just based off of max stat. Imagine if you got rid of you know, some other things, like you've got DPS classes that might have 7-8k weapon damage, and their healing scaling off of that, and so like their vigor ticks are 4k vigor ticks, and it's just like really silly because it's scaling off of weapon and spell damage, you know, as opposed to max stat. So
yeah, I think when you group a couple of healers together and they become unkillable, then I think that's like a sort of pain point. It's a bit frustrating. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, maybe there could be something to be done about how much healing goes out, and maybe scaling it down with the amount of people that's in the group or something like that, just to make it a little bit more balanced, maybe.
Yeah, that's the first thing when we jump into a group. Not necessarily a ball group, because it's never safe to jump into a well put together ball group, but I'm jumping into like a PvE 20-man guild outing. The first thing that we do is we take a poke at them to see how they recover from it, because some people just simply don't even heal, and it's like, what are you running around with half health, my guy? Like, heal yourself, you know? Somebody heal this guy. But you take a poke at them with like a heavy attack Dawnbreaker and see how they recover, but in that moment you're noticing who's throwing out heals on the back row. And so I can say out of this 20-man group, we got 3 designated healers on the back, and then what we do is we do kind of a phalanx, so I'll fall back to reapply my buffs, and the next person, if it's a 2vx situation, they step up. And now any incoming damage is absorbed by them. I can freely reapply my buffs, get my heals going, and just when they need to retract, I step in. And that allows us to keep pressure on a group. And ideally, we don't want them to sit in a room all stacked on top of one another. It's really hard to kill Bob right in front of, you know, Lisa and Sarah, who are trying to heal him, or Tyler or whatever. So we need the group. We need to keep poking them until they start moving. And as the group moves as a whole, then that establishes a tail. Then you bite the tail and start killing people on the back end. And sometimes you might be able to, on that time you push into the group, you can push back to the back row and burst 1 or 2 of the healers right in front of everybody, and then retract and don't let them get the res off. And then that's how you can kill large groups outnumbered. But I don't know, like, I think healers are, when I'm running with Icy, I feel infinitely better than not, you know, like, there might be times I can't break free and he's just going to heal me through it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think they're super valuable. And I think they're an interesting part of PvP. Like, it gives you a target to focus, but then there's upsides and downsides. Like if you're focusing the heal, obviously you can't. The other guy's going to be able to heal himself up, and I think it adds an interesting dynamic. I don't think people should be shaming people for being.
Well, it's the same thing for tanking in PvP, right? Just blocking.
Tanks,
There's a lot of hate on that
more
too.
Annoying though, because tanks aren't necessarily achieving anything other than being a sort of
maybe
tanking people.
I had somebody ask me, it was one of my training videos, like evergreen content, and they said, how do you deal with tanks? How do you kill tanks? And my answer was, you kill them with kindness. You just leave them alone, but while you're bored, kill all their friends and make them watch, and so that's the answer. Kill them with kindness.
That's why I feel like tanks are a bit less useful, because I think to smart players, tanks are just going to get ignored. They're not going to take a flag on their own necessarily in Cyrodiil, whereas healers, at least, they're like keeping the DDs alive, and they're actually making the battle change a little bit or keep it going.
Yeah. It's interesting in Battlegrounds. So the two things, I never thought about healers being looked at that way. I've never experienced that concept or thought, but it's usually tanks and Nightblades. If you queue into a Battleground and you look and you've got one Nightblade in the group, you might as well just assume this is going to be a 3v4v4, right? Because he's solo or always stealthed, right? They don't even see him anyways. They only see us three. We're taking all the initial pressure and all the damage. So the only way at the higher MMR is that guy needs to be super proficient at killing people. Like, so proficient at killing them that that's where his value's at. But if they're too busy dodge rolling around and being kitey and not actually taking heads home, there's no value there as a Nightblade. You're just a detriment to the rest of the team. So, and the same is for tanks. Unfortunately, tanks aren't going to be killing people, and they're just going to stand. All they can do is body block for you or provide a moving line of sight, So, or
they block on the reses. I love that. I do like doing that.
Yeah, or they bring a crowd control aspect. They have both hard CCs and soft CCs, and maybe they help you in a resource now I don't have to expend the resources to maintain my CCs on everybody on the field that we're fighting. My tank's got that. I can just go pure offense. So there is value there. That would be like a support CC or a support tank,
Yeah, okay. Ollie, do you remember our second topic I mentioned?
No, because you said the first one, and then Grim came back.
I said it out loud. What was the second topic?
I don't think you did. You said you wanted Q&As, but you did have it. You had a second topic.
No, the second topic was content for PvP. So Rich has said many times they're not gonna do anything for PvP until performance is fixed. And he has said, I made a video about this some time ago, and I had the clips of him saying it's fixable. I think it's not the exact quote he said. It's fixable. It's hard, or like it's hard to fix, but it's fixable. Can we fix lag in PvP? Yes, we can. He said, and then he kind of went into this like not rant, but like a little statement about like, oh, we really miss the fact that you can have massive PvP, like large group versus group. So what do you think? Like, I don't know, man. Do you think anything's coming for PvP this year, or do you think it's just what would you hope to see for PvP, honestly, as a PvPer?
It's a risk to like invest that time and money in it if you don't know whether it's going to pay off or not. Because if it's not like going to pay you back in terms of are more people going to get into PvP and more people spend money on the game? Like, is it going to be worth it? I don't necessarily know that it is. It's kind of like a catch-22. Like if you've got a bad Cyrodiil experience, people aren't going to want to play it, and then that's going to lose you money as well. So it's whether they're happy to take the hit on spending their time and money on fixing something. They're not going to get anything out of it.
I think it comes down to, if you say you can fix it, then you need to fix it. Like, integrity is important.
Yeah.
So I think that if you say you can fix it and you're going to fix it, then it needs to happen. So when did they announce the year of performance and we were going to do
2019.
this? 2019.
They had the little roadmap.
Yeah, we're 2022 now, and it is progressively getting worse for sure. Icy and I were.
What if they deleted Zerodead? Honestly, like, I've given up on Zerodead. I've given up on Zerodead.
I like it.
It's too big. It's too light. It's too dead.
Yeah. So I did a video on this 9 months ago, and it was like Zerodead destroyed. How long has the wars been waging there? Like lore-wise?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Actually, I don't know how long the war. How long does the war last? Does anyone know?
Hundreds of years?
No, it's not hundreds. It's like a few. Is it a decade? Not even a decade? I don't know.
It'll be a long time.
Over that time frame, the environment will have changed, right? A war-torn area changes in its environment or changes its landscape.
Right.
And so they have that thing where they could actually just, on a PTS, redesign or rebuild Zerodead with zones. So if there's ball groups up in this zone, and you make it to where the mile gates or the water, if people want to dive into the water and kill themselves, they can. They're not going to be able to get across, which is how it is right now. So make it to where there's a loading spot on the bridge where you load into the next zone. So we can start controlling the ball group lag. And so whatever's going on in the top right-hand portion of Zerodead that's causing whatever gameplay problem.
Hello? Hello? Am I still alive? I'm still alive. The Discord crashed, I think. Hold on. Hello?
Hello?
Okay, we have some technical difficulties.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, we had some technical difficulties, apparently.
We're back?
I think so.
We're having a lot of technical difficulties.
See, you start talking about getting rid of Zerodead, and it's over.
We get cancelled immediately.
They get canceled. You have just triggered so many people.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I get that a lot. A lot of people are like, "Don't you dare touch my Zerodead," and I'm like, "Hey, you can have your mount simulator. Like, do you not want it to? Do you not want it to work? That's the real question. Like, Pop and I were talking. What if they said, "Hey, we need to take Zerodead down for 3 months to fix it"? I would be cool with that.
Yeah, I'd be.
Yeah, sure.
I don't care if they took 2 years.
2 years. Take it down and fix it. Because it would be the most glorious thing ever. Like, we're out there running around fighting that 60-man group, and we're like, dude, if we could just use abilities, this would be great. Like, I just don't. I wish they would do that. Take it down. If it takes 3 months, if it takes 3 years, take it down.
They can do that. That's the thing. You know how I know that? They did it for VA's hard mode. Or not VA's hard mode. They did it for the trial. There's a Asylum Sanctorium. There's a trial that gets bugged every patch. One patch, it got so bugged to the point they closed it. You couldn't port in. You couldn't go in. So they can do it. They can close instances.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can.
Take it down and just fix it. And you drive traffic to Battlegrounds. You drive traffic to Imperial City. Traffic has been really good in Imperial City, by the way, on NA. So
yeah, you keep saying that. I'm surprised, actually.
A lot of fun.
Usually
I've had the most. Yeah, I mean, it's been down in the sewers. It's like PvE guild night for whoever, you know.
A lot of PvE guilds go to sewers for sure.
Yeah, so it's fun to poke them, and they're going to kill you. It doesn't matter how good you are, they're going to kill you because some of them have nuclear capabilities, and you know, and you mix a couple actual PvPers in with the group, and it's not easy fighting 20 people and 3 PvPers at the same time. So, you know, so that's fun. But yeah, Imperial City's been a lot of fun, and the way I view an Imperial City is there's the PvE aspect of it. If you just want to kill mobs and make Telvar, you could do that down in the sewers. There's the PvE PvP aspect, and that's kill mobs and kill players in the sewers. And then you can go up to the districts if you want to get sweaty. Like some of the best small scalers are in Imperial City, and they run up top, and they're very skilled people that run together. And because Cyrodiil is such a larger place, you run into that, say, high skill set small scalers a lot less. There's more masses, you know, the numbers, because math, right? And so for that reason, some people have a better experience in Cyrodiil, running around and not running into the demigods on the battlefield, and just running into people that are just out there PvPing but not necessarily PvPers. So yeah,
I hope they have something. I hope they have something though this year.
Yeah, Godzilla was posting that too. He's like, if we can't fix the game, at least give us new content.
Right.
And I'm like,
Payne's been saying that too for a while.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of ideas you can do. There's a bunch of ideas. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, what would that be for you? New Battlegrounds?
No. Well, anything. It could be a new PvP zone. It could be a revamp of Battlegrounds. Like, we could do a team versus team. None of this 3-way shit that muddles the game modes. Like, I have no problem with Chaos Ball or even Capture the Flag if it's 2 teams or in a different map as well. Like, the map design is really weird. I don't think they really put as much thought as other games do into map design or level design for PvP. They just kind of have these spawn points, and that's really it. They don't really think about, like, you know, Dr. Disrespect or like other developers. They think a lot about how level design works or map design works.
Because strategic map design.
Call of Duty and everything, right? Like,
advantage.
Exactly. Yeah. But I don't think BG's has any of that, really. It's just kind of like the aesthetic, and you just put people in there. That's really it.
Yeah. What about a siege keep, or a keep siege? Keep siege,
yeah,
like
what's that game
like a
called?
10-man, 10v10.
For Honor has that, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
Would you chivalry? Yeah.
What about a horde mode?
Anything.
Yeah. Anything. What about an unarmed weapon line?
I want them to turn Cyrodiil into a battle royale.
So. Like sort of GoldenEye, where you pick up weapons.
Just drop in Cyrodiil and go the chest. That's and you PvP with that. You're done.
What about air drops in Cyrodiil? Right? You can have like a blimp or something and drop in people from the sky in Cyrodiil. Yeah, sure.
Fortnite. Yeah, you fly in on your Griffin.
So many ideas. I don't know, the Magic Wamasu bus or something flying over in the skies.
Yeah. I don't know. See, for me, I'm like, who was it that did the video? And they were like, we're literally keeping this together with bubblegum and Velcro, you know, like there's so much content. We keep putting so much content into the game, and we never thought that we would get to even where we're at today. I saw a video along those lines, and they were concerned about adding more content to the game. Like, there's a tipping point. And then...
That was Destiny, maybe? Yeah, Destiny's had to, like, gate out content, older content.
Yeah.
Because it was breaking the game.
Yeah. See, so I was talking to some devs from other games, and they were talking about regression testing and code rot. And these are problems in the industry where, you know, code rot, the code itself just breaks down over time. Well, this game is 7 years old, so maybe a time to rewrite some code. And then regression testing pertains to when new something is added to the game, how like we look at it as itself. Is it functional? Does it work? But how does it interact with the other pre-existing code? And then we run into problems and bugs and breaks. And so, but he swears that there is zero regression testing happening. Otherwise, we wouldn't see some of the problems that we have right now. And so I don't know. I don't know what any of that means until he described it to me. And who knows if that's an accurate assessment, but
what do you think ESO gave out older content? It's a huge game. Remember when they cut out 20 gigabytes? It was Herostorm. Yeah, it was Herostorm. They cut out 20 gigabytes, went from 80 to 60 gigabytes. Now it's back at like almost 90 gigabytes.
Yeah, that's where the code for Take Flight went. That's where Take Flight stopped working because half the code got cut out. The part that works.
It's crazy. 20 gigs, and then they added 30 more gigs.
Yeah.
They had to stop adding stuff to the game, I think, at a certain point.
Yeah.
That kind of goes all the way back to our start of the podcast with proc sets and stuff. And you brought it up how like it's a more accessible way of getting like a nuke or something like that for newer players. And I think someone in chat brought up earlier in the fact that when they removed proc sets, not a lot of people wanted to go because there were no proc sets.
Yeah.
And how do you fix that? Yeah. But I don't know if that's possible to fix because the devs and also the players have dug ourselves into this hole where every patch we're expecting something, and that is rewards for doing something. That tends to be item sets. So would it be possible for a DLC or something to not have item sets? Because item sets are crazy, man. There's so many item sets. I work on a website and we have a sets page, and there's like 800 entries for item sets because you have to take into account that's so many. It's so many item sets after like port group.
Yeah.
There's perfected, non-perfected. There's arena. There's 4-man item sets. There's 12-man item
pretty
sets.
Much the same
PvP,
things.
Crafted item sets. Like it's just
a lot of redundant
so
sets
much
as well.
item sets.
Yeah.
It's insane, and I don't know what they're gonna do about that because it's a whole. Like, if you don't put item sets, people will people buy the DLC or what's going on? Like,
yeah,
it's impossible.
I don't think they need to worry about it in regards to PvP. If the PvP community is so low, you're disregarding what their needs are anyways. So I think you add those sets, but at what point is too many sets too much? Maybe they introduce ESO Classic and that rewind.
I don't think there's enough players.
ESO Classic would just pertain to PvP, and it would be coding from like year 2 or year 3 with no proc sets. So and it's just skill-based PvP rewound, back in the day. But I don't know. The thing about it is nobody likes something taken away from them, and right now, new players and PvPers have access to proc sets. And the second you tell them you can't use proc sets in PvP, there's going to be people that are mad. That's BS. Why do you get to dictate? That's how I'm having fun, and I've seen all this stuff and I get it. But that's what that person's saying. This is what I'm saying, and then I've got the other person that's new to PvP and I'm talking to, and they're like, I don't even know what's happened to me. I just die. I just explode. So
yeah.
What if they made that? Some wild thought occurred to me. I'm not sure why these wild thoughts are occurring at this point in time, but what if they removed PvP from ESO but made it into a different client? I don't know, man.
ESO online.
I just had this wild thought for some reason. I don't know, but yeah, I think we'll wrap
only
up.
Use craftable sets over there. Just use craftable sets. I mean, the true PvPers wouldn't have a problem because they're like, great, I don't have to go farm dungeons just to get my sticker book for these sets. If I can just craft some sets and go PvP.
Yeah.
be
But yeah,
interesting.
let's start wrapping. I don't want to keep you guys for too long. Jesus, we've been talking for like a while.
Yeah.
If anyone has any questions, we will answer them. If you have questions for Grim, or if you're curious about how to get into PvP as a newer player or like a newer PvPer, he does have his own Discord where he teaches people. So.
Or if you want to get into MMA and you need a...
Oh yeah, true. You know, if you want to go, enroll in his gym, one of his many gyms, then Integrity. That's also an option. But yeah, we'll wait for people to ask any questions they want. But yeah, it's wild conversations with.
Yeah, virtual PvP or real life PvP. What do you want?
Yeah.
It's fun. I literally started the channel though with just I wanted to learn how to grow and scale a YouTube channel. I didn't really intend for. I almost got 3,000 subscribers in 1 year. So, and I didn't get rid of my early videos. I didn't know how to make thumbnails. I didn't know how to make titles. I didn't know how to do descriptions and timestamps. So if you go to my channel and scroll all the way to the first videos, you'll literally see a video with no thumbnail, no title, and I left it up there because that is my maturation process too. Here's where I implemented thumbnails, and here's where I implemented titles, and here's where I implemented that, and here's where my thumbnails started getting better. And that was going to be a lesson for athletes. I'm literally going to sit in a room full of athletes and just say, here's a gaming channel that I created and grew and scaled, and you can see it doesn't have to be perfect to get started. Just get started. Just get going. You're going to figure it out as you go. Here are some tips. So,
what's your favorite mag and STEM class? Okay, the questions are starting, Kevin. Yeah.
Favorite mag and STEM class? Magsork is pretty bursty. I think I have a 51 and 0 or 51 and 1 BG posted where you can see me, and I'm not out there fury stealing or stealing, like
51.
Sheesh. Yeah. I tell you what, to do that, you got to put your foot on the gas. You got to be purposeful in trying to kill as many people as possible. So when I see more of that, but it's just the rotation on Magsork and the way it works out, and you're rewarded for being offensive with heals, and you literally, their offensive kit is, the class kit is so good that you don't need your ultimate to finish people. And so I find that I can sit on my ultimate and use the resto staff heal as a failsafe if I do get burst or caught out of position. And for me, I feel like that's a good class balance. A lot of people are like, Sorks, not so much now, but if you rewind to like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, they're like, Magsorks are broken or Magsorks are this. And I think it's actually, that's where the classes need to be, that you don't need the ultimate to kill people. It's the icing on the cake, right? And you don't need to put procs on the class to kill people. It can do it on its own. And so I wish that other classes would be brought up to that, to where their class abilities were as viable or meshed, or the rotation worked as well. But Mag Crow's fun too. Magden's fun. Stam wise, I'm terrible at Stam DK. I'm really bad at it. And it's so crazy because I see so many people that are amazing at Stam DK, and I'm just balls at it.
Stam DK is like brain dead. If I can do it, you can do
it. I don't. Maybe that's part of it too. It's not
engaging
as off meta like crazy. Like I have a dual wield Kratos Ghost of Sparta, and that's fun for me. Like it's a different off meta. Like I have some really cool videos of 1vxing and outnumbered with that, and a mid-year mayhem from like 2 or 3 years ago where I think at one point I had like 5 ultimates dropped on me all at once, and I survived. It was stupid. But Stam wise, I would say, so Nightblade's really easy to disengage from fights. And Nightblade's a finesse class though too, because if you get caught, you're dead. It's hard to use your shade, use your So I set Nightblade always to the side, just because it has unique advantages that other classes. You get to dictate the fight, when to engage and how to disengage. So I wouldn't pick it. I would pick Stamplar or Stamsork. The Bobo Stamsork, Dreadcaller, that's a lot of fun. A unique play style. Or the Sword and Board Steve Rogers. That's a really fun build for me. Very tanky, and it's got 5,500 weapon damage, and I'm killing people with it on main hand Sword and Board, and that's working. So I would say those. Okay. Not meta. Not meta.
What's your favorite British dish, Grim? British dish.
Did Sawman UK ask that?
No, Wobbly or Kibbles.
Wobbler, British dish? I have no clue.
It's me, isn't it?
What?
It is. It is now that we've met.
I feel that Grimsforge should be the ESO Pvp spokesperson. That's not a question.
Thumbs up.
Hey, thanks. Yeah. I'd support that. I don't know, honestly. I think if Gina or those guys went and looked at my community tab and they saw some of the memes or whatever, they might be turned off. But I can conduct myself in a business-like fashion, like, hey, let's just really talk about let's look at the numbers and let's see if it makes sense and, prioritize stuff. I think Take Flight needs to be fixed. I'm not advocating for DK. I'm just saying it's an ultimate that hasn't worked for quite a while. And then we need to look at gap closers and executes and how they're not functioning all the time properly. And break free. It's very strange that we're having problems with break free, and CC immunity. So I guess my list, the more I talk, it'll end up growing and growing. But I would look at all those and then start prioritizing the most important things. And then let's just start putting checks in the boxes and getting rid of those things. Let's fix them. So,
who is your favorite? Oh, sorry, go on.
Without knowing anything about anything as far as...
Right. And all the numbers and stats. And
right. Here's my list. Here you go, devs.
Right.
They're like, who's this guy?
Who's your favorite ESO content creator? Grim.
Oh, it's got to be Nephis.
What?
He can't even win on a
I know it's Deltia. You're friends with him. Gotta be.
Yeah, I'm friends with him. I like uniqueness. I don't know. I like that off meta, off funny. Sawman UK really makes me chuckle a lot. I can tell you, like, if I were gonna do a class, if I wanted someone to run a class on how to grow and scale a YouTube channel, it would be Deltia. Just because he hits all the points. He's easy for me to point to him and know that he's not going to say something that's ever going to hurt his brand. You know what I mean? He does a good job with that. His interaction with the crowds, his audience is amazing. So I would say Deltia is extremely polished. It's really crazy that he's not part of the stream team. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. He's got 100. Oh yeah. He's got 125,000 viewers subscribers on YouTube, and then he was super quick to partner on Twitch. We got the Coke deal, and like he's got so many great things going for him. I think there's just past there, like before he left, that unresolved stuff that might need to be, but he's approaching this in a completely different way. The way he approaches it now, this is a business, and that's how we need to do it. Let's talk, grow and scale our business. So I love Is There No One Else? Is There No One Else is top notch too. Dan from Unified Gaming, I'll tune into him just to hear him say, hey, it's Dan.
Okay, let's see. What's a set you wish was just a little better?
ESO build editor.
Wait, what's a set?
Oh, a set.
Yeah, I'm set.
I was like, what's the site that you wish was a little better? ESO build editor. Let's make that happen.
That is true.
Okay.
Yeah. What is a set that I wish was better?
A little better, yeah.
I can tell you this. Did everybody know about the Crusader set? Like, if you watch my Mandalorian, this was 6 months ago. The armor set did this. The 5-piece bonus added a 0.3 set to your roll dodge. And it was so fun for me to play around on a squishy Nightblade with that armor set because I could stand and box with people or like dodge roll in front of them and then burst them and then dodge roll to the next person and burst and then cloak and it made for riveting, like fun, like a different type of play style. And because I guess nobody was using the set, they went and changed it and just made it weapon damage, spell damage, weapon damage, spell damage, weapon damage, spell damage. And when you gap close to someone every 15 seconds, you get a 5k damage shield. And I'm like, you ruined it. You ruined it. It was so much fun.
Well, I guess
I feel like they didn't need to do that. Like,
maybe you're the only person using it.
I literally was. And I just had somebody jump into, they were like, dude, I saw your Mando build, and so I tried that set. Fun as hell. I love that set. And they were like, I wish that they didn't change it. I was like, I know, right? Like, it was so fun, and nobody was using it. It wasn't like it was getting exploited or, completely. I do know that I got a lot of people that said, I'm reporting you. Because they couldn't figure out why they weren't hitting me, and so I did get that a lot, but that was a really fun set. I wish they hadn't got rid of that, or changed it. But Dark Convergence needs to be changed. It shouldn't have such a huge area and apply a snare, and you can't get out of the snare, and then it pulls you to the middle. Even the ball groups now are using Dark Convergent or have been using Dark Convergence just to pull you into an area so they can ult dump you. And so here's a set. The intent of it was to kill the ball group. Kill the ball groups. Now the ball groups are like, thanks. Thank you.
Especially combined with lag and not being able to break free and get out of it.
Yeah.
It's just so easy to stack people up for.
And then the CC immunity. It's like you literally are snared all the time or getting stunned repeatedly 3 times in a row. Get stunned and I break free, and then I get stunned again. I'm like, what the heck? And then I break free, and then so
okay. What skill do you hate most in the game? For me, it's Stone Giant for sure. But how about you, Grim? Stone Giant.
Wrecking Blow plus lag is horrible.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. It is very hard to, like a D-swing or Wrecking Blow, it's hard to line that up when lags, but it hits so dang hard too. So I guess that's part of the other reason why I don't like it. It's like, it really has to be the go-to, right? If you're on a class that doesn't have a spammable, like you're not a Templar with biting jabs, and you're not Nightblade with surprise attack, you're probably going D-swing.
I think in lag though, I've gone with like a master two-hander and cleave instead.
Yeah, that's smart.
If there's enough people to hit, then it's just as hard hitting, and you can kind of wipe out a bit of a Zerg occasionally.
What are your thoughts on adding 1 new skill per skill line to allow more build diversity? 1 new skill per skill line.
Will they be balanced?
I mean,
will they work?
There's probably already at least 1 skill on every skill line that doesn't get used anyway. So
so maybe it's that. Maybe it's yes, but with the caveat of replacing something like stuff that statistically isn't getting used. Like my Crusaders. So.
Did Grim share his thoughts on the PvP and PvE endgame? Endgame's unrewarding reward structure.
I
think a lot of PvPers brought. Did we talk about this?
I think we talked about it. Yeah, with
incentive.
Pain in the Axe, and last week as well. Like incentives for endgame.
Yeah. What do you think, Grim? A lot of PvPers tend to say like there's no incentive to PvP.
Yeah. I think you did a video. Real Godzilla did a nice video on it that talks about. I can go and I can run some dungeons, knock out, some of my dungeons. I can come away with 10 transmutes per, but I can run around in Cyrodiil and it'll be a month from now that I'll get 50 transmutes, you know? So maybe what you do is you need to increase the transmutes for Battlegrounds, because the time frame that it takes me to queue for a Battleground, get into a Battleground, and hopefully potentially get the win, there's risk and reward with that. I could have queued for a dungeon, got into a dungeon, and got a guaranteed 10 transmutes out of that. So we need to make that probably align better.
Leaderboard rewards aren't that satisfying, really.
Yeah. I think that they need to add, like in Imperial City, more use for the Telvar currency as well. You have the set armor sets down there, and you do have access to the chests, the 30 and the 60 space chests, and you can buy those all with Telvar, and it's for the 60 it's 200k Telvar, and for the 30 it's 100k Telvar. So you know, that's nice, but most of the PvEers have access to that through other means, you know, selling their
RIP vouchers. I think you can buy it with.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know. Do something with Telvar more than what we're doing right now. We did see a spike in that, and then key frags are another thing that you achieve down there in Imperial City, and those sets have been fairly stagnant for quite a while now. Outside of I think there was a rush for key frags when they first introduced the monster sets down in Imperial City, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then after, it was also after they buffed the agility, endurance, and willpower sets for a little bit, and people started that combine that with one trainee and one mythic and stuff like that.
Yeah, so with the mythics, it kind of fit in quite nicely, I guess. Like the two and 3 piece bonuses.
Yeah, so kind of static outside of that with Telvar uses. So.
If you go to McDonald's to get a McDonald's breakfast, do you pick a sausage and egg McMuffin or a bacon and egg muffin? Or are you a madman and get pancakes? I don't go to McDonald's for breakfast. But if I go, sausage and egg McMuffin or bacon? Sausage and egg McMuffin. Yeah, the bacon's too thin. At that point, it's just bread.
I've never had that.
You've never had McDonald's sausage and egg McMuffin?
No.
Bro.
I've made my own.
Okay. How about you, Grim?
I'll tell you the same thing I tell my wife. McDonald's isn't food.
Oof. I agree. I honestly agree. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I hate McDonald's.
I mean, you can eat all of it and then, like, doesn't count. Sure.
There's like almost zero nutritional value there, right? And I don't know how I feel about a food that I could let sit out for a year and come back and look at it. Looks the exact same.
Yeah. In the gym life, and this is a question for Grim, what's one food that you would not recommend for a healthy lifestyle? Literally anything. There's so many. Anything with sugar, I would say. Or like,
are there any that are like
too many
lies,
carbs?
like
yeah, I don't know.
Avocados? Are avocados a lie? Are they bad for you?
No, they're good. They have good oils in them. I can tell you soda. Soda would be the easiest, or pop, whatever, wherever you come from. A gym secret or a gym trick is this. If somebody were to come to me and they say that I want to lose 20 or 30 pounds, and I ask them about their life and they say, well, I'm mostly sedentary. I work from home or work in a cubicle or office. And then we ask about soda or pop. How much do you consume? And sometimes they're like a 2 liter a day or whatever, you know, like whatever that is. Those individuals that drink a lot of soda through the course of the day, I know that if I can get them to stop taking soda for 1 month, they'll lose 10 pounds just from that alone.
Damn.
So that's a trainer trick. Out of the 30 pounds, 10 pounds of it is just going to be getting them to stop drinking soda. Guaranteed.
Wow.
So, yeah. And I don't know the math or the science of it, let's say. I just know this through 15 years of let's cut out soda, and 10 pounds alone came off of just them not drinking soda. You could not even have a gym regimen, like going to the gym and training. Cut out soda, don't supplement it with another sugar source, like I'm going to go to real heavy sweet tea or something like that, or energy drinks, right?
Yeah.
Cut those type of things out and you'll lose 10 pounds just from that.
Okay.
Nice. And I probably drink the same in sparkling water. I'm pretty sure that's got no sugar in it. So
Yeah.
Doesn't
That should
have
be good.
like fake sugar? Whatever that's called? I forget the name for it.
yeah, it's just like water and what is it, carbon dioxide?
No.
Maybe that's bad for you.
Would you like to see 3 morphs on some skills to add a few more stamina abilities? I don't think they should do anything.
3 more morphs
I
on
don't know.
3 morphs on some skills.
They should work on the current. They should work
Did-
on everything. Everyone keeps saying. Everyone's excited about the next chapter. By the way, even people who are like kind of burnt out in the game, they're like, "Oh my god, next chapter!" Or like this year, 2022. What's gonna happen for ESO? People keep saying new race or new class. I'm like, you guys are dreaming. You guys are dreaming, man. I'd be surprised. I'd be shocked. I'd be disturbed and surprised at the same time.
Did Icy or Emma ask about that?
No.
Was that them? No. Yeah, so think about this. You have your base skill in your class tree, or even your weapon line, whatever it is when you first get it. And then you have 2 options from there. Afterwards, I want to go to the stamina side, or I want to go to the magicka side. And then it's like, well, what if past your base skill, you had 2 stamina options, one with each different thing, or 2 magicka options, one with each with different effects or different things, and now all of a sudden we're adding every single skill or every single class ability is technically getting 2 separate new options. And excuse me, we're in a hybrid. I wouldn't say it's a hybrid meta. This is where the game's at now. So mixing and matching magicka abilities and stamina abilities has never been more viable than right now. I think it would be a huge balancing. Could you imagine trying to balance the addition of multiple new abilities?
Yeah.
I can't imagine another class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. I just can't right now. They haven't even.
I don't think you tackle something like that when you can't get break free to work.
I don't think. It's just so much. And they did that item set audit back in late 2019 to mid 2020, right? Where they updated a lot of item sets.
Yeah.
But now we're back to square one. You know what I mean? Like.
Balancing is already off again.
Like all the skills, all the sets, it's just so much, dude. They need to like relax.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll take a couple more questions. What is this? Opinions on New World. I think that's for Grim.
PvP is way different in New World than it is here. It is not as fast. It is, you only have 3 abilities, and when you use those abilities, you need them. You need to make the most of them, because there's a global cooldown. Like they're gonna go on cooldown. So,
right.
ESO's PvP is much faster, a lot more abilities, a lot more diversity. It's also been out for 7-8 years, so there's that. But there's balancing issues in New World right now. Everybody, 90% of the population, unless you're trying to run off meta, 90% of the population are running around with the 2-hand hammer and the Void Gauntlet. And the 2-hand hammer, if you set it up properly, you can, every ability, all 3 of your abilities, stun the target. And there's no CC immunity in the game, and there's no CC pots or anything like that. So you literally can stun lock somebody when you fight them and just kill them, and there's no counterplay. And that's not riveting PvP. Nobody wants to play a game that you can't actually play the game, And so that's a big concern of mine. That was actually, for me, why I was like, I would rather go back to ESO and deal with the lag and deal with not breaking free and the nuclear capability proc sets and, take all this stuff than deal with that. So and duping, they're so early in their development. It's a beautiful looking game, and the crafting is really deep, really deep. Like in ESO, if you wanted to make some heavy armor boots, you just go to the blacksmithing station. Boom, there's your heavy armor boots with the heavy armor ingots, or whatever type of ingot. But in New World, you literally have to go over here and get the leather. Then you got to go kill these things to get the cotton. Then you got to go kill this thing to do this, and then you come over to this station and make the ties, and then you got to go over here and make this, and you got to make every component of those boots. And so for some people that's pretty neat, and you can interact with your environment too, like from picking up a rock or a pebble to chopping down trees to pulling weeds out of the ground to picking flowers. And so it's a lot more interactive environment, but from a PvP standpoint there's that. And then the duping, or duplicating gold and duplicating weapons or duplicating items was a serious problem. That unless, I don't know what they've done, but you can't have that in your game. So there's a serious ball drop there when that's happening. So here I am playing ESO, and some days I go to bed like, man, that was awesome, and then other days I'm like, man, that sucks.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have those days.
Alright, last question, and I'm gonna let you guys go. Yeah, but I do apologize for sleeping. Oh my god. My alarm didn't go off. I'm just like, bro.
Sure.
I actually was, after the Tales of Tamriel podcast, which ended like 2 or so a.m., I was like, maybe I shouldn't go to sleep, because I feel like I wouldn't wake up. I was like, and then, I asked Sacred, and I was talking with Sacred and Turtle, and I was like, should I go to sleep? And they're like, yeah, you should go to sleep. I'm never listening to them ever again. I'm just kidding. Alright, anyway, last question. Would you like a more hardcore battlegrounds with more strict rules like capped health? Huh.
Sawman UK, he does the Sawman Invitational, and he put a 25k health cap on the tournament. And one thing I noticed was with the nuclear, if you're gonna put a cap on health, you have to put a cap or restrictions to armor sets, because there are armor sets that'll cover 25k health with a push of a button, Calorians and coming from stealth, whatever. So those heavier restrictions are going to have to be no proc set if you're going to do that. I would say that would be heavier restriction. A start for heavier restrictions is no proc battlegrounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're gonna wrap it up here. Do you guys have any final thoughts from today's discussion? Or anything you want to say to people? We have about 165 people watching, so.
Hi.
Where do we find you online?
Yeah, where can people find you, Grim?
Grimsforge Gaming on YouTube, and I haven't made content probably in 3 months for ESO. I just, I was like, I'm not gonna make content for a while.
But you still teach people PvP?
Oh yeah, people contact me. Yep, people contact me through the YouTube channel, and then we meet up in Discord, and then I kind of go through their pain points, like what are they struggling with, and if they're on PCNA or PCEU, we do a screen share, and then even if they're on console, they can run their console through their PC monitor, and we can set up screen share, I believe, but I've had console players just record their battlegrounds, and then I go through and like, hey, at the minute 25, we're dying because we're out of resources. The reason we're out of resources is this, and then, we just break down all their deaths and the rhyme or reason of what's happening. And then we also start sharpening their eyes so they can see things as they're coming in. Like, this guy is not applying his buffs as he's coming up, willing to fight, doesn't know how to fight. Your buffs are already up. You just go immediately into your CC and offense on them, and it'll put them on their back seat, and you'll back foot, and you'll win that fight. And so yeah, we just get together, figure out a time on Discord, and see what's what. And we can do everything too. You don't need to be just a DPS person, but every class, every play style, magic and stamina, I've played multiple times, 140 plus times. and I level all my characters in PvP scenarios, so Imperial City or Battlegrounds.
You should send me your send me a permanent Discord link so you can put in the Discord directory for ESOU.
Yeah, you got a Discord
I'll
server.
give me some other
or...
stuff about this.
Yeah,
He's been talking about screen sharing. you think
Yeah,
use
Skype?
Skype?
That could be in a private call. That doesn't necessarily have to be a server.
I mean, what, Skype?
Yeah.
Microsoft Teams, Zoom,
yeah.
Well,
Great.
Well, nice having you guys in again.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's nice meeting you guys.
Yeah, it was nice to also put a face to the name too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you should go on. I was streaming. That was the other thing. I was like, I don't plan on being a streamer. I didn't plan on, but I did stream some of my, like that 51-1 Battleground on my Sorcerer was streamed, so you can actually watch, and then I was streaming my Bobo Stam Sork, and people on the stream were like, hey, do first person, and I was like, okay, let's do a first person Battleground.
Don't get bullied by stream chat. They're idiots, all of them.
Oh, are they? Well, I did
they're
it.
Always right and they're always wrong. So
yeah. Oh, aren't we all? Well, yeah, it's fun. So I did probably maybe 5 or 6 streams where I actually, got on, and I was like, don't mind me, I'm an old dude trying to figure this out. I think in one of them too, my mic wasn't even working for the first 10 minutes, and somebody's like, can't hear you, and I'm like,
you should do it.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah. Again, thanks so much for your time.
Guys.
Yeah, cheers. See you guys soon.
See ya.
See you soon. Take care. Bye.